when I walk by your side. I can only imagine what my eyes will see when your face is before me. I can only imagine. I can only imagine. Surrounded by your glory, what will my heart feel? Will I dance for you, Jesus?
What would life be without the thinking around the future? It's a gift. Value it, cherish it, and do your best with it. Getting into a newspaper review brought to you by Total Energies, a multi-energy company committed to the delivery of quality and innovative products and services to make our customers have a better experience with their vehicles and their machines. 3-time CIMG Petroleum Company of the Year, a one-time Hall of Famer in that category, delivering excellent and innovative products and services is what we're all about. And getting straight into the newspaper review segment. And we're jumping in straight into the segment with Godfred and Kukui. Welcome to the show, people.
Thank you very much,
Bernard.
Good morning. I hear you are interviewing hopeful today. A flag bearer hopeful, that is.
Yes, flag bearer contender.
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 Contenders
Throwing their hats in
hopeful.
the ring.
It's a very boxing word.
So who are you speaking to?
Kwabena Agyepong.
At what time?
8:30 this morning.
Should be interesting.
I've seen his billboards in town. I mean, so far the only billboards I've seen are those for the MPP. I mean, are of Alan Chermating and Kwabena Agyepong.
Kennedy Agyepong.
Yes, and Kennedy. Forgive me. I've seen those three billboards. I haven't seen a billboard of the others.
You haven't seen a Greek minister?
No, I've seen posters.
Yeah, I've seen posters.
I've
Is it in my area?
and smaller. I'm talking about like large billboards. I've
Okay.
seen a lot of posters and a lot of smaller signboards. I haven't seen huge billboards.
No,
yet.
he has done the billboards in the nether realms.
Yes, he's gone. And who else is in the race? I haven't seen.
On the NPP
I haven't
side?
seen Joe Gate's things.
I have in my neighborhood. Actually, he came to put one in my area.
Billboard or poster?
Billboard?
Billboard. What about Adainimo? Have you seen anything?
No, I haven't seen anything on that.
Who else is in the race? Apreku, have you seen anything?
I've seen posters.
Posters, but
Yes,
not a
yes.
billboard.
He's doing.
What
a lot of
about
posters.
Ejaku?
Nothing yet.
Not yet. Not
haven't
Ejaku.
seen
Is there anybody
anything
in the race I've forgotten?
No.
What about Dr. Bawumia? He can't.
He can't.
He can't put anything up.
He can't do anything.
So is it an incumbency advantage or incumbency disadvantage?
Will he run? Will Bawumia run?
Yes, I
That's
think
what
I heard somebody in. I saw an article from somewhere that said Gideon Boako had said he was going to run.
Well,
Not that he had launched, but that he had sort of given indication that he was interested.
Okay, so we'll wait. But it's basically open season. Because yesterday, the former president
Yes,
also said.
so
I think they picked forms for him.
Yes,
yeah.
so they declared.
Yes,
So, yeah.
Dufour is doing so today. Dr. Dufour
Yes.
is picking up forms
But do
today.
you know when the NDC will vote for their thing?
I don't have the
The
I think this is
calendar.
May something. Yeah, I think we can check.
We'll get details on that. But
think-
it's
I think
open season. Basically, the point I'm making is like it's
Yeah.
open season
Yeah.
for.
But have the other
Party
parties
politics.
have agreed on their dates? Because I was told the MPP was still not sure when they were
Yeah, they're
doing
still
it.
not sure. Anyway, let me
May,
do
May 13th. Yes.
So NDC is May 13.
Yes.
All right.
Should be interesting. Front page of the Daily Graphic, and I'm starting with that. Mahama picks NDC nomination forms. AU adopts compact for private sector inclusion in AFTA. Tema to host Greater Accra Independence Parade. Nigeria to hold Africa's largest polls on Saturday. It's an election that we are all very interested in. But the most worrying story of all, Bernard, for me, is on the front page of the graphic. Routine child immunization. Vaccine shortage hits health facilities.
It's been-
And this is
it's been-
across the country.
It's been that way for a while.
Anyway, let's go to the Ghanaian Times front page. 30 years of democracy. Government commits to strengthen parliament. And this is the president speaking on that. OMCs with less than 45 outlets won't participate in the G4O programs. That's the NPA speaking. Dr. Mustafa Hamid says unless you're all over the country with 45 outlets or more, you won't get some of the more affordable fuel to sell to consumers. John Mahama and two others pick nomination forms to contest NDC presidential primaries. And Germany is ready to support Ghana's domestic debt exchange program.
All right, front page of the Daybreak newspaper say China boycotts bilateral debt talks. There's a photo of Ken Oforiatta.
China boycott?
We'll try and figure out what that means. Maybe it's the context. Yesterday we saw a story that ended up being something different. Mahama is on the front page as well.
Very quickly on the back page of Ghanaian Times, 8 female-led agribusinesses empowered in the Upper West region. I just wanted to highlight that because there are a lot of women doing great things with their businesses. Yesterday I encountered some amazing stuff. Car sprayers, painters, awesome. So women are doing it.
You're music.
Charlie,
we
you're doing well.
We here.
Let's celebrate.
You.
Our month is coming, oh much.
You're supposed to be doing front pages, but you found back page stories that you are throwing in.
It shouldn't even be on the back page. It should be on the front.
All right, cool.
It should get prominence. But the
I agree.
Chronicle, Mahama targets Jubilee House again. There it is. NDC can't manage the economy. NPA fights to beat down fuel prices. And Proverbs chapter 24 verse 16, for though the righteous fall 7 times, they rise again. I wonder who that's for.
Front page of the Anchor newspaper. They also go with Mahama. They're saying he has picked forms for round 3. Round 3 is a dangerous round. AMA blows 800,000 Ghana cedis on Xmas rice and oil as mayor faces committee over alleged corruption, nepotism, and incompetence.
All right, the New Crusading Guide, a couple of headlines. NPP slams NDC for misleading Ghanaians on economy. And OMCs must have over 45 outlets to receive the G4 product, says the NPA boss.
Finally, from me, the front page of the Daily Guide talks about Richard Ahiagba, economic performance abysmal under NDC. That's his comment. former President Mahama picking up forms also makes it to the front page of the paper. And ECOWAS job for Baba Kamara.
Business Finder front page. Remittance inflows to hit over $5 billion US. GRA and SML collaboration paying off. And only OMCs with over 45 outlets will receive gold for oil products.
CitiNewsroom.com. NDC primaries calls for Mahama to go and oppose, not far-fetched. This is Kwachio Fosu. Also, Ghana needs a constitution that caps number of ministers. This is the majority leader, Chairman Sabonsi, speaking. MPP says they are not perturbed about Mahama contesting the presidency. And then Kwabena says Ghana needs a right, human resources, strong, democratic institution. And of course, the other story that's making the rounds, Mahama has picked forms, or forms have been picked for him. Meanwhile, we're told over 22,000 children between 10 and 19 had HIV in 2021. This is the AIDS Commission, a story that came from yesterday's interview. Now, City Business News is talking about the slowing down of producer price inflation, decreases marginally to 52.1% in January. And then AU adopts Africa Prosperity Dialogue After Action Plan. So the Kwewu Summit that was held recently, their After Action Plan has been adopted by the AU, for what that's worth. If you go to Major Online, the lead story is Chairman Sam. Ghana needs new constitution that caps number of ministers, MPs, and makes speaker an MP. So you notice that quite a number of things came out of that meeting. President was there, Kwabena spoke, Chairman spoke, and we just hope these are not things just being said into the air, but somebody's basically going to act on them. Meanwhile, no NAT staff was involved in school placement for sale scandal. This is Thomas Musa speaks to Kwesi Kwating. And then Mahama picks nomination forms to contest in NDC flag bearership race. That is the big story there on my joint line as well. In Nigeria, the candidates have signed a peace pact 3 days to the poll. All of them were there. So very similar to Ghana. You know, they have this peace council type of arrangement they sign, and yet things happen on the ground. And, you know, and it's very difficult to call this election. Peter Obi still leads in polls, but Bola Tinubu holds advantage. This is an analysis by Bloomberg News. A number of news outlets are also trying to analyze the election. We'll probably spend some time on that before the week ends. But let's come to the vaccine story.
Yes, I'll take you to the front page of the Daily Graphic, Bernard. There is widespread shortage of some vaccines used for routine immunization of babies from birth to at least 18 months. The situation has the potential to increase the vulnerability of children to the diseases the vaccines seek to protect them against. So, if you go to the details of the story, the Daily Graphic investigation followed a report about a month ago of erratic supply of vaccines to the regions of the north since the middle of last year. The Central Hospital in Tamale closed down its pediatric unit last year due to an outbreak of measles. The regional directorate of the Ghana Health Service recorded 15 suspected cases in that region alone, but with no deaths. The regional health director, Dr. Brahima Baba Abubakar, however, insisted that there were enough vaccines to fight the checks. However, checks at the time in the region prior to the arrival of those vaccines showed that out of the 13 vaccines for routine immunization, only 2, tetanus and tuberculosis, were in stock. Now, in Accra, they did a national coverage of this. So in Accra, managers of some of the health facilities that are popular for their child welfare and public health services confirmed the shortage, but declined to give details. When pressed, some of them, for fear of victimization, blurted out, quote, "Madam, please, I love my job. Please, I don't want to be transferred," among others. Some of the managers kept pushing the responsibility to speak to the next person, saying, quote, "I am not the right person to speak on the issue." When the director of public health of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Franklin Esidu Bekwin, was contacted on the interventions put in place, he said he was collecting updates on the situation and would revert. Now, Kofodia, the Eastern Regional Health Hospital, Dr. Akwa Kuto Ampo, confirmed the shortage of some vaccines at the hospital to the Daily Graphic. So the vaccination supply there included those for measles, rubella, penta and rota, and oral poliomyelitis. In Bolga, the shortage of routine immunization vaccines has caused a lot of frustration among health workers and nursing mothers in the Upper East region. So vaccines such as Bacillus, Calmette, Guerin, OPV, polio, measles, yellow fever, Men A for the vaccination of children have been in short supply in the region for the past 2 months. Due to the shortage of the vaccines, only a few children are sometimes vaccinated on either Tuesdays or Thursdays, with the rest of the mothers being asked to go home since the vaccines could not cater for them. If you go to a nurse who spoke on condition of anonymity, said sometimes about 40 children are brought to a facility to be vaccinated, but due to the shortage, only 10 get immunized. Same story is repeated in Wa.
So it's all over the country.
Yes.
And they've mentioned the various categories
Yes.
of vaccines. So this is big. Couple of questions. We set up a National Vaccine Institute. A lot was said about producing our own vaccines. Was the plan to begin with COVID-type vaccines or with the regular ones that we've used for years? I think the people behind that have quite a number of questions to answer. So we'll jump back to that if we have some time.
And it would be a shame if we decline there, because Ghana has actually been a model in Africa for our vaccination program, the way we've rolled it out, and other countries have actually come to study how we were able to do it. So it would be a shame if
some parents contacted me. Indeed, on Monday I got a message that I sort of noted that the person said that they had not had vaccines since last year June. Right, it's been the shortage of vaccines for babies across the country. I took my 6-week-old baby for vaccination. I was told 2 of the vaccines were not available, including the polio vaccine. In fact, the nurse said they hadn't had some of the vaccines since last year June. Can you look into this? This message I got on Monday.
We've been declared polio-free. We don't want to go backwards.
And,
sorry,
it's quite interesting.
The story from the health officials.
Yes.
What was the problem?
Well, according to parts of the story, they are saying that a lot of immunization programs are run by donor funds, and donor funds have slowed down.
So vaccination actually will depend on donors.
Yes, it says that the sort which had said donor funding, which had been the spine of the country's immunization success story, expected to dry up by 2026. The success story expected the country would face a real challenge in sustaining its immunization.
So my question
drive.
is, did they speak to Ghana Health Service or Ministry of Health?
Yeah, they spoke to the regional directors. Everybody had a story.
No, but the guy at the top, what was he saying?
The guy at the top hasn't spoken. Perhaps he will speak to you this
Yeah,
morning.
we need to find out because this is serious.
It's very serious. Well, speaking of health concerns, fear of cholera outbreak at Afenia cluster of schools. Now, remember, we heard recently as well that we haven't had a single case of cholera since 2019, but that is likely to suffer a jolt following government cluster of schools at Afenia in the Ningo Pram district of the Greater Accra region. This is as a result of the absence of public places of convenience, compelling not only the exploding school population, but also the entire community of over 2,000 people to attend nature's call on the compound of the educational facility. The irony is that in the midst of this ticking health time bomb, the decade-old place of convenience has been decommissioned and made way for a newly constructed one under the $1 million per constituency project, but that facility has remained locked for the past 4 years for some reason. So it's a common phenomenon, according to this article in the Chronicle, to see pupils and community members of the opposite sex squatting in the open to attend nature's call on the premises.
Where is this?
This is in Afenia, apparently, the Afenia
Just
government
here?
cluster of schools. Yes. So the Chronicle talked to the chief executive for Ningo Pram District Assembly, Alhaji Latif. He said there's an issue. They're very worried about it. He said,
Samuel
I
George.
mean, this is crazy, man.
Afenia. People
man.
attending nature's call in the open, fears of cholera outbreak.
They apparently this facility, it's been, was constructed 4 years. It's been locked up. They're pleading for it to be open so people can at least use that, even though it still might not be adequate, but at least it's better than open defecation.
Let's get into the politics. John Mahama has
Yes.
declared his intention. Dufour is going to do same today. What
Yes,
else
so
do we
I'll
need to
take
know?
this story from the Daily Guide's front page. It's a really graphic. On page 3, Vincent Kubi writes that a former rector of the University of Professional Studies, Accra, Professor Joshua Alabi, has picked nomination forms for the contest of the flag bearership election of the NDC on behalf of former President John Dramani Mahama. Professor Alabi picked the forms at the NDC headquarters in Accra yesterday to enable former President Mahama to contest in the internal elections in May 2023.
And we are told that some people are calling for him to go and oppose Felix Kwachu. Fosu is defending that on an interview with Citi News. Aide to former President Mahama says calls for his boss to go and oppose in the NDC presidential election are not far-fetched. He says, though the rules of the party permit an open contest for all qualified members of the party, allowing Mahama to go and oppose will save the party both resources and time. But I'm told that other people are interested in picking up forms. I think you mentioned today that Dr. Dufour is going to do that.
Okay. Let's talk about fuel. Or you want me to continue with the Mahama
If you do,
story? Well,
otherwise.
there's one in the Chronicle. So, yes, John Mahama and 2 others picked nomination forms to contest NDC presidential primary. So, John Mahama picked nomination forms. Joshua Alabi, professor, the former national campaign chairman of the 2020 national campaign team for the party, picked the forms on behalf of Mr. Mahama. Former president was the first to do so. Professor Alabi addressed the media and the teeming supporters who thronged the party office and indicated that the country is in difficult times. People are suffering and they're crying for the NDC to come back. That is why they convinced the former president to come to the rescue of the country, because he has done it before. Another presidential hopeful, Ernest Kweku Kobia, who was the second to pick his nomination forms, indicated that when elected as flag bearer and eventual winner of the 2024 general election, he will first establish an insurance package for all members of the party and create jobs through implementation of several sanitation modules for the people. And the former CEO of the Kumasi Metro Assembly, Kojo Bonsu, also picked his forms to contest the upcoming presidential primaries for the NDC.
All right.
Well, I kind of missed this one, but let me get back to this. In Tamale, there's an oxygen shortage at the Tamale Teaching Hospital, according to the Anchor newspaper on page 12. The management of the hospital says it is taking steps to address the challenges with the supply of oxygen currently being experienced at the hospital. There's a statement signed by the CEO of the hospital, Dr. Atiku Adam, with
The
regards
health
to
sector
that.
is calling a
Yes.
lot this morning.
Let me give you the story from the AMA and what is happening there. Some assembly members are not very happy with the mayor of the city. A 7-member committee has been constituted by the assembly members of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly to probe into a litany of allegations against the chief executive, Madam Elizabeth Kwachu Saki, following a notice of resolution to pass a vote of no confidence in the city mayor. So you have the aggrieved members and the petition that they have sent. They've copied the coordinating director, AMA, the Greater Accra Regional Minister, and then the Dean of MCs. I see 11 names here, and their electoral areas representing Amamomo, Kolewoko,
Amamomo.
Kolewoko.
Already been built.
Yes, Kinka, Newman Probi, Choko, Washi, Kolebu, Mlicha. And a couple-
And what are they asking for?
Well, they are saying that they have 7 reasons. There are no tangible projects to show for more than a year. The expenditure of 800,000 Ghana cedis when salaries had not been paid for 3 months, and a whole lot of other things. So we'll keep an eye on that.
Okay. Let's talk about fuel. And in the Chronicle and the Ghanaian Times, we've got stories on this. So in the Chronicle, NPA fights to beat down fuel prices. The CEO of the NPA, Dr. Mustafa Abdul Hamid, has said the NPA, in consultation with the Association of Oil Marketing Companies, has come up with the criteria for the distribution of the next consignment of petroleum products that have been imported under the Gold for Oil program. According to him, this is to ensure that the impact of the G4O program is felt by consumers across the country, while addressing the concerns of the OMCs regarding a lack of clarity concerning the allocation of products supplied under the program. Now, the criteria takes into consideration the top 25 OMCs who distributed petrol and diesel in 2022 with not less than 45 retail outlets across the country. He touted the implementation of the G4O as it has slightly lowered prices of petroleum products and reduced forex risk. Now, he was speaking at the Meet the Press in Accra on Wednesday. He said the country has received 3 cargoes so far, comprising 41,000 metric tons of diesel in January and another 40,000 metric tons of diesel and 35,000 metric tons of petrol, which have just arrived and are being discharged. He said better results are expected as more G4O cargoes arrive. And again, the Ghanaian Times has the same story. It's, again, OMCs with less than 45 distribution outlets across the country will not be allowed to trade in government gold for oil.
Elimination by size.
Chale, by size, oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me take you to page
I
30.
mean, the story, what you said was that the NPA is fighting to get
beat down
so
fuel
it means
prices.
that the fuel prices are sticky upwards, despite G4O.
Page 30 of the Daily Graphic, Bernard. Suspend excise tax bill for consultation. The Ghana Federation of Labour is telling Parliament. Now, the bill seeks to slap a 20% excise tax on locally produced mineral water and beverages,
boy.
and a further 5% special levy on profit before tax on all companies to be known as growth and stability levy. However, the GFL said imposing a 20% excise tax on some products, including sweetened beverages, needed an urgent review, given that local manufacturers were already grappling with at least 17 different taxes. I think we'll find time to go into
we
this
need to. Then
later on.
there's a couple here I wanted to bring you. Chairman Sabonsu is asking for a review of the constitution to cap number of ministers, and I believe this story is not new, it's not strange, but I thought that for him to be saying at this time is important, because this is what the minority has been saying, this is what our have been saying, civil society. MP for Swami and majority leader has called for a new constitutional order that will place a cap on the number of ministers appointed by the president. His call follows demands by the minority caucus in parliament for the president to downsize his government in the wake of economic challenges. Speaking at the launch of 30 years of parliamentary democracy, Chairman Sabonso outlined a series of benefits to be achieved with the consideration of constitutional reform. Here's a quote: "We need a constitutional order that would mitigate the winner-takes-all attitude and prevent the do-or-die combat associated with our elections. We need a new constitutional order that will prevent the constant increase in the number of seats in parliament. That will place a cap on the number of ministers of state. That would ensure that the Speaker of Parliament is a serving MP." The guy spoke very well. Dr. Vladimir Chidanso, or Prof, also called for an entirely new constitution, contrary to calls for an amendment. He basically says we must rewrite the whole thing because the thing, he says, "I believe that if we have something new, politicians will jump on it to serve a better purpose. So we should get the newly written one."
Finally, Bernard, I'll take international from my side. Nigeria is holding Africa's largest polls on Saturday. 18 presidential candidates, 3 leading candidates, Peter Obi, the one known as the political puppet master, Tinubu, and of course the former vice president of the country, Atiku Abubakar. Abubakar is 76, Tinubu is 70, according to his age right now. And then Peter Obi is the youngest of them. We have some analysis on it.
We did analysis on this yesterday, just to give you a couple of quick points. So, if we think about Ghana, we have how many constituencies? 275. They have 1,491 constituencies. We have how many voters? 15 million. They have 93,500,000 voters. How many districts do we have? 260. They have 774. Now, how many polling stations do we have? About 30,000. They have 176,000. And then if you put all the elections together, the gubernatorial elections, the Senate elections, the number of candidates is enough to fill there are 15,331 candidates or contestants. That's bigger than some constituencies in Ghana. So it's a huge election. We'll be keeping an eye on it. Thank you, Kokui. Thank you, Godfred. City Business News coming up next. Stay with us.
You know, Papa, see that? And it's rickety car. Hey, Papa! Papa! Bobo, so how's your engine now? It is half man, half amazing. Thanks to Quartz and you, can't feel better energy. Can't touch this. Charlie, guys, so Sancho's engine just died like that? Yes, so somebody managed to convince him that there is a better engine oil than Quartz, and he switched. Sancho Panzapa. Now, which engine oil can be better than Quartz? No other, my guy. Quartz with its age-resistant technology, it keeps your engine younger for longer. Now you know. Have you guys seen the new bottle design? It's superb. Quartz 9000 from Total Energies there improves fuel efficiency. Why do you think Mr. Mane and Logoso have taken the Quartz Nation movement World Cup like that? Sorry. Quartz. Keep your engine younger for longer.
Join the conversation on the Citi Breakfast Show on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag CityCBS.
This is the Citi Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation.
So it's a couple of seconds to 7 o'clock. Carrying multiple phones around can be such a chore. The unsightly board in your pocket, the extra weight in your purse, the stress of switching from one phone to another to answer calls and more. Now, imagine being able to switch between different numbers on the same phone easily and seamlessly. Guess what? You can go seamless with MTN eSIM. Enjoy the convenience of connecting multiple phone numbers to one single phone or device. To check if your device is compatible, simply dial *#06#. That's *#06#. Once you receive an EID number, it means your phone or device is compatible. Yes. I'm talking about MTN eSIM. Now download the My MTN app today, request your MTN eSIM, and enjoy this sweet SIM-less life everywhere you go.
The Citi Breakfast Show. Rise above the noise.
Michael Obodo is here with the news. Good morning.
Good morning, Bernard. Hello and welcome to the breakfast edition of Citi Business News, proudly brought to you by MTN Goil and powered by your most comprehensive business news website, citybusinessnews.com. Coming up, textile industry laments impact of removal of RFO subsidy. Also, UN resident coordinator urges government to work to ease current economic pressure on Ghanaians. Details of our stories now. As the impact of inflation lingers, coupled with the recent hike in utility tariffs, players in the textile industry are lamenting the negative impact of the removal of the subsidy on residual fuel oil on their operations. Government, effective November 1, 2022, withdrew the subsidy on RFO to ease the financial burden on the price stabilization and recovery account. The National Petroleum Authority justified the move, arguing that it was to ensure availability and supply of the product. Speaking in an interview with Citi Business News, Managing Director of Textiles Ghana Limited, Fatuma Tudoro, stated that the move significantly increased the cost of production.
So we used to benefit of one subsidy mainly, which is the RFO, is a residual fuel that textile company mainly use, and it represents 60% of our COGS. And overnight, in a couple of weeks, we lost that 55% of subsidy. And representing 60% of our COGS, it means that if you really want to replicate that on the consumers or on the shopper, you have to increase pricing on more than 100%, which we couldn't do because we knew that we could have just closed down because they are facing challenges and they no longer have the revenue to cover for that subsidy. And also because the RFO is an imported product. When you looked at the Ghana economy, everything was around, do they have enough hard currency to import things? And I believe that they made a choice that they couldn't really finance the RFO anymore, and they would put the hard currency somewhere else. So the inability to pay the RFO on our behalf, on the 55%, made them remove the subsidy. But I mean, we all know it's been very difficult for the Ghana government, and they're trying to support as best as they can, but they can't.
Fatuma Tudoro is the Managing Director of Textiles Ghana Limited. Now, the UN resident coordinator in Ghana, Charles Abani, has urged the government to devise means to ease the current economic pressures on Ghanaians by applying homegrown solutions as it seeks other external interventions. He added that the citizens' participation in the domestic debt exchange program was in order to secure better agreement terms for faster debt restructuring agreements. Now, speaking to Citi Business News on the sidelines of the launch of the European Union and United Nations Building Migration Partnerships project sponsored by the European Union, Mr. Abani noted that the youth may fall prey to violent extremism when basic amenities are not accessible.
What would be my lessons for Ghana? Increase your self-reliance. But I think Ghana's already focused on an agenda of self-reliance. Reduce your imports. The new Minister of Trade and Industries who's just come in has also said that he sees the need to grow Ghana's own productive capacity. So growing the productive capacity of Ghana that makes it less vulnerable to shocks, makes it less vulnerable to price sensitivity because of a heavy reliance on US dollar transactions for imports. So building Ghana's robust economy has to be the key. We're in a point of crisis now. The government is trying to renegotiate both domestic and international debt in a way that gives Ghana fiscal space to make these investments. And I think what I would be saying to ordinary Ghanaians is to participate in that conversation in a way that looks for the strategic investments that need to happen. And if you like, being sure that as citizens of Ghana, citizens are holding their government to account on those commitments made through the budget and made through the various pronouncements around flagship programs. If those investments happen in the right places and government reduces wastage, duplication, etc., then I think Ghana is still in a good place to be able to recover much more quickly than some other countries on this continent.
UN resident coordinator in Ghana, Charles Abani. Now, banking consultant Dr. Richard Akwesi Ituahene is urging the private sector to employ innovative strategies to ensure growth if it is to survive under the current macroeconomic situation. According to him, it is evident that the liquidity shortages in the banking sector as a result of the domestic debt exchange program could affect the availability of new credit facilities to businesses in the country. Dr. Ituahene made this known while sharing his thoughts on the DDEP's impact on the private sector at an engagement organized by the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Accra.
Mr. President, some of your people do import on credit lines. If a bank capital is low, who will lend money to you? The business is bankrupt. Even when the Fitch and the people start downgrading it, some of the American banks and the British banks started cutting off their credit lines to banks in Ghana. And now that we are going to do this, applying this, let us see how it's going to impact on the private sector. It's going to affect the bank's business to lend money to businesses. And those of you, even who have credit, who have facility already, you're not just going to walk in and renew it and go. They're going to sit you down because the moment they will reprice it. Apart from that, if you don't take it, they will tell you that if you want an increase like overdraft, they will tell you no, because they don't have the resources to do that. What does it mean? What it means is that, number one, it's going to whittle down the capital. Again, liquidity crunch. Liquidity crunch would affect the banks, and it would affect profitability. And there will also be deterioration of the risk asset, the loans. Because if last year you were able to pay your loans, the economic environment has changed so much that businesses are not going. VAT is going up, the water rates are going up, electricity is going up. You're not going to produce as you used to produce again. You need to be, that's why I say you need to have an innovative means.
That was banking consultant Dr. Richmond Akwesi Etuahene. Now, on the interbank foreign exchange market, where banks trade amongst themselves, the dollar remained unchanged and is selling at 11 cedis 1 peso. The British pound also remained unchanged and is selling at 13 cedis 3 pesos. The euro also gained 2 pesos and is selling at 11 cedis 7 pesos. However, at some forex bureaus in the capital, the dollar is selling for 12 cedis 90 pesos, while the British pound is selling for 15 cedis 25 pesos and the euro at 13 cedis 40 pesos. Now, the founder of defunct UT Bank, Captain Retired Prince Kwabena Agyepong, says in order to transform Africa from a low-income economy to a higher-income one, African leaders need a complete change of their mindsets. Speaking at the launch of the PK Agyepong Leadership Foundation and also the launch of his second book titled The UT Story, Building a Winning Team Volume 2, Mr. Agyepong stressed that the call was crucial to enhancing the economic fortunes of the continent.
What causes change is leadership. And when we talk leadership, there's not the group at the top. I'm talking about the man at the very top. And we've seen leadership in Africa failing, even in our homes. Parents are no more responsible. You hear parents paying bribes to get their kids into schools. You hear parents buying exam questions for their kids. It's unimaginable. Then you come into institutions. Then you go into politics, forget it. Kind of leadership which will really make sure that we stay there and get worse. And we have to start. And then if you heard about the issue of abundance, before you lead, you should understand the people that you're leading, where they're coming from. And really, Africa, it's not that we are bad people, but nature made us who we are. If you have kids and you think you love one of them, and you dote on that child, 100% that child will not turn out well. And we were put in the best part of the world, and we've lived in abundance for the longest. Therefore, we have created cultures, behaviors, traditions that are negative to development because the situation has changed.
Captain Retired Prince Kwabena Agyepong is the founder of the defunct UT Bank. Let us now join Mark Jordan Scanate of Data Bank for updates on the bonds market.
The Ghanaian secondary bond market was quiet on Monday as market participants awaited a settlement of the newly issued bonds under the domestic debt exchange program. Following this, no trades were recorded on the market. The Data Bank bond index remained unchanged at 81.32 points with a year-to-date return of 0.07%. On the Ghanaian primary money market, the Ghanaian Treasury seeks to raise 2.89 billion Ghana cedis at the upcoming Treasury auction on Friday, 24th February. Proceeds to be used to refinance upcoming Treasury maturities worth 2.65 billion Ghana cedis across the 91-day bill to the 364-day bill.
That was Mark Jordan Scanate of Data Bank. And that does it for the breakfast edition of City Business News, proudly brought to you by MTN, Goal, and powered by your most comprehensive business news website, citybusinessnews.com. My name is Michael Obudu. Thank you for listening. Have a good business day, and as always, please stay safe.
Miha mitai kun. Hey, na sika be bra wo kra na patututui. Aden.
Ilevy asem you.
Ilevy aye den. Chese wo de wo nya abuche ntie nchechemu ahodo aye mani na ye mpo ansa na wudu sika nyina di akone aba. Te se ne ye wo 1995. Ilevy ne de. Abawo. Na nso nim se ya MTN de. Obe sort out.
MTN be sort me out sesen.
Ho, enti wo nim se nyama ahodo bi wo ho a. Yanje Ilevy wo so. Te se wo transfer sika ye de free account ba akoso. E de akọ account foforo so. Efe wo cash in ana wo cash out wo MTN agent bia ho. Wo to data ana airtime. Wo tua wo bills. Ena mpo ye ma no sika free abrochi ana se wo tua wo taxes. We nyina yente Ilevy e wo so.
Oh yeah, sure.
Tie dwumedi ahodo pii wo ho a wo de MTN momo ye a Ilevy tax no enka no hwe bebre so ka ho kra o sa kan se ede bia 100 Ghana cedi a edikan a wo be transfer no ye nte wo hwe
na minimo
afei de wonim dwumedi ahodo bebre wo ho a wo de wo MTN momo ye a ye nte Ilevy tax wo so enti koso ne nya ho bambo ene ahotoso papa bi a MTN momo ko na tumi ye ma wo na tumi fa MTN momo so etueche waka nyina ntentam so
MTN.
Join the conversation on the Citi Breakfast Show on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag CitiCBS.
This is the Citi Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation.
You see me sit in silence, sipping my liquor, making no link up. I'm picking no course. This generation, we know they get that. Our mind is focused, we know they hear what we show up. But the money there, that be where we there. Chilling like it's a holiday, but we still got bills to pay. Oh, time is money, so we know they joke. Focus on global, not local. No, don't look up. As I suffer, they get. I never they regret. If you suffer, you go get. You go get. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Find girls, they shake their body.
30 minutes past 7, Citi Breakfast Show on Thursday morning. Later this morning, we're speaking to MP Presidential Kwabena Agyepong. So what is he really on about? We've been hearing him in the media for the past few weeks.
It's my life, it's a life.
Because the big story in the political side, the NDC have opened their nominations for both presidential and parliamentary, and it's been swiftly responded to. So you have the former president has had forms picked on his behalf. We understand a couple other aspirants have done the same or will do so by today. And also in a number of constituencies, parliamentary primaries are set to begin with vettings and all of those things coming up. But we're also keeping an eye on the shortage of vaccines. So if you're a parent or one who is a caregiver, how has this affected you? How long have you experienced this shortage? Send us a WhatsApp on 054-998-6996. Now, the reason this is important for us is that we thought that with COVID coming in, the systems around us, around vaccines and healthcare would have improved so that things like vaccine shortages would be a thing of the past. So to have a vaccine shortage barely 2 years after COVID, in fact, almost 2 years into COVID, or is it 3 years? Because COVID came in 2020, right? So 3 years into COVID vaccine, with all the promises about Vaccine Institute, we will produce our own vaccines as Africans. What is really going on with that? So let's talk about that also on the show. But Shell Fuel Save is proud to be associated with Kick-Off. Its triple action formula improves engine efficiency, prevents deposit buildup, and protects your engine from wear and corrosion for extra clean, extra protection, and extra savings. Switch to Shell Fuel Save today because extra kilometers go a long way. The segment is also brought to you by Lesheho. If you are a private school targeting to buy a school bus sometime this year, don't wait. Apply now for our competitive school bus loan with convenient payment terms. Call 057-411-7851 and let's do it together. Lesheho, let's improve life. Benjamin Nketa is here with the news. Good morning, Ben.
Good morning, Bernard. Let's get into the headlines. And Liberian President George Weah donates to support burial of late Ghanaian footballer Christian Atsu. Manchester City held to a draw by RB Leipzig in the UEFA Champions League, and in the Europa League, Barcelona and Manchester United lock on tonight. Now, President of Liberia, George Oponria, yesterday sent a delegation on his behalf to mourn with the family of the late Christian Atsu. He also donated an amount of 10,000 Ghana cedis to the family to support with the funeral. The delegation, led by former Ghana footballer Pastor Kwabena Agyepong, relayed Oponria's message to the Trasam family. Now, earlier in the day, Kumasi Asante Kotoko's Chief Executive Officer, Nanaya Amponta, also commiserated with Christian Atsu's family. Now, the family of Mubarak Wakaso were also at the house to extend their sympathy. Let's move on to some other stuff. And Jerry Akamenko, who is a former Black Stars player, also visited Atsu's family and has described the death of the former Newcastle player as a huge loss.
Yeah, I think he was a good friend. He was a good player. He was hardworking, and then he had a good sense of humor in all. And then he didn't only believe in his talent, but he believed in also working hard, and then maintaining his position, and then advancing in his football career. He's a really big loss. Not even only playing, but then even the good things he used to do for people from outside the football world, if I would say. We've lost a great person. Really, we've lost a great person, and I don't see how we're going to get somebody like him. But I know we will learn some of the things that he did, so that we can also follow his steps.
So you have former Black Stars player Jerry Akamenko speaking there. Let's move on to some other stuff. And President of the Ghana Olympics Committee, Ben Nunu Mensah, has admitted the country is running out of time to host the 2023 Africa Games. The 13th edition of the Games, which was slated for August this year, has been postponed to 2024 after an agreement between the competition's major stakeholders. Now, Ghana's efforts towards hosting the Games have been affected by an impasse involving the African Union, Association of National Olympic Committees of Africa, and the Association of African Sports Confederations over some marketing rights, but the issue has been resolved. Now, Nunu Mensah says the LOC made some wrong choices in the preparations to host the Games, but believes they can make amends with the time left.
We have already lost a lot of time through no fault of the LOC or through nobody's fault. COVID was a factor, and then also the impasse was a factor. So we don't have time. We've also taken some wrong steps. We've also made some wrong decisions. We don't have the luxury of time as we move forward. Whatever we all do now should be on point. It should be well-informed decisions. And here's a situation where we'll call on the media to help all of us so that we'll be able to deliver this game.
Let's move on to some other stuff, and let's get into the UEFA Champions League. There was action yesterday. Inter Milan were up against FC Porto. There was also a game between RB Leipzig and Manchester City. The San Siro, it was Inter Milan taking on FC Porto. FC Porto picking up a red card in that game, so Inter Milan managing to beat Porto by 1-0, heading into that second leg encounter at the Estadio de Dragao. And then RB Leipzig were at home when they held Manchester City to a 1-1 draw. Let's hear from Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola.
Tonight, first half, what went wrong, if you like?
They make a step forward, press a bit higher. We have more problems to make the build-up, but after the goal we concede, we come back and we make a good last 50-20 minutes. So we had good chances in both sides and both halves, and result, and we're going to decide in Manchester.
I imagine you were very happy at half-time for an away performance that's in Europe. Is that as controlled as it gets?
No, I'm happy for all game, not just for the first half. We play a friendly game here. How many games have you from Leipzig? How many games? So the people expect we're here, we're going to win 0-5. This is not a reality. It's a competition that in group stage many important teams are out, and it's difficult. We knew it with our 4 games in 10 days, away all of games, the travels, and the people expect, no, we are a good team, that we do many, many good things, and we continue to do this. And if the people expect come here 0-4, I'm sorry, we are not able to do this.
Pep Guardiola not happy with his side being scrutinized for getting a 1-1 draw. He says that they will wait for the second leg. So it's a nicely poised tie for Manchester City against RB Leipzig. Let's move on to some other competitions. And Manchester United defender Rafael Varane believes the team is ready to finish the job against Barcelona in the second leg of the Europa League playoffs. Now, the first leg ended in a 2-2 draw at the Camp Nou last week. Varane says the Red Devils know how they want to play today at Old Trafford.
I think the first game against Barcelona was a very good game, top level, 2 offensive teams who wants to press high on the pitch. Yeah, the level was very good, and it was a good result for us. Obviously, in the first half we could score maybe more goals, but in general we play with character and personality on the pitch, which was very important. And I think for the second game, we know exactly how we want to play. We want to play with passion, with discipline on the pitch, and believe. And I think we have a good team and we are ready for that challenge.
Manchester United defender Rafael Varane speaking there. In some of the other matches to be played, Midtjylland will be up against Sporting Lisbon. There's AS Monaco taking on Bayer Leverkusen. FC Nantes will be up against Juventus. PSV Eindhoven will be seeking to overturn a heavy defeat against Sevilla. And then there's Mourinho's AS Roma taking on Salzburg. Rennes take on Shakhtar Donetsk, and Union Berlin will also be up against Ajax Football Club. Let's finish off with some news from the camp of Liverpool and Everton, and they have both been fined by the Football Association following a mass confrontation during the Merseyside derby on the 13th of February. The incident occurred in the 86th minute of the Reds' 2-0 win at Anfield against Everton. Now, the FA said both clubs failed to ensure their players conducted themselves in an orderly fashion and refrained from provocative behaviour. Everton have been fined £40,000, while Liverpool have been fined £25,000. The Toffees received a heavier penalty following a previous charge during their home game with Crystal Palace earlier this season. And that's all for this morning's edition of Kickoff. My name is Benjamin Nketia. There's more sport at citysportsonline.com.
Trust the process. The biggest things often start small. No matter where you are now, the most important decision you will make today is knowing where you'll be tomorrow. All you have to do is take the next step, believe in your journey, and go with passion. Because when you go with passion, you go big. You explore the possibilities. You create the tomorrow of your dreams. So come along and let's go big with our passion. Apply for a loan now and power your ambitions. Get plugged in. Let's go big. Powered by Lesieho.
Extra, extra, let me tell you all about it.
Hey, Dolomistic. You and this your extra thing. Abeg, tell me about it.
Abenquine, look, extra is what you and your car get when you switch to Shell Fuel Save. Extra protection, extra clean, and extra savings. You get it?
Tell me extra.
Shell Fuel Save is designed to improve engine efficiency instantly, and with triple action formula that helps protect your engine from wear, corrosion, and deposit, so you get extra kilometers out of your drive.
Sir, and you're not extra, good for your engine. Extra, good for your pocket.
Extra kilometers goes a long way. Switch to Shell Fuel Save today. Go well.
Join the conversation on the Citi Breakfast Show on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag CityCBS.
Get 2 months of Showmax for the price of one. It's giving. It's giving celebration and casa and more smiles for less.
The bar has gone up.
It's giving non-stop Big Brother Titans drama. And binge-watching vibes. It's giving what it's supposed to be giving and overdose. You will feel deal, sir. So subscribe now to get 2 months for the price of one from just 16 Ghana cedis 99 pesos for a limited time. It's giving Showmax. Sign up at showmax.com.
For Pepsodent, smiles are one of the most important things we have. The problem is, globally, 1 in 2 children suffer from cavities. Pepsodent, with maximum cavity protection, helps to prevent the formation of cavities. Pepsodent, because every smile matters. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Traditional banks have failed to make your money available to you when you need it the most. ZPay's MoneyGram to Wallet platform puts the power to choose in your hands. With our large network of agents, we bring your money to you whenever you need it. Chop make I chop. Be empowered.
It's creamy, creamy plus, delicious milk. Creamy plus for you.
Creamy Plus is a delightfully delicious option whenever and wherever the occasion calls for milk. For your quick meals on the go or quality time at the dining table, jazz up your favorite Gary soakings, mashed kenke, cereals, and all hot and cold beverages with a creamy, protein-rich, healthy option of milk. Creamy Plus evaporated milk with vegetable fat is all you need to stay on the go. Creamy Plus evaporated milk is now available in a shop near you.
For bulk purchases, please contact Les Farm Distributors at Medina Ritz Junction on 0501 682 522, or Grace has found us at Akoko Photo Dansoman on 0245 162 747.
Creamy Plus for you.
Creamy Plus evaporated milk.
This message has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
This is the Citi Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation. The Citi Breakfast Show. Rise above the noise.
Health Tidbits is brought to you by the Nyaho Medical Center.
Welcome to Nyaho Health in the City. Ladies, have you had your pap smear yet? The pap smear is done to detect abnormal cells that may develop into cancer. It involves collecting cells from the cervix and examining them under a microscope for signs of abnormal cells. If abnormal cells are found, further tests such as biopsy may be needed to determine if cancer is present. If cervical cancer is detected early, it can be treated effectively with surgery, radiation therapy, or chemotherapy. Call the Nyaho Women's Care line on 050-148-1472 or follow our social media handles for more health in the city tips. Nyaho, improving your quality of life.
Health Tidbits was brought to you by the Nyaho Medical Center.
This is the Citi Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation.
270 hash to register. Chop, make a chop, be empowered. And did you know that Independence Day 6th March falls on Monday? Did you know this? Yes, it does.
A long weekend approaches.
Come spend the holiday with us at the Royal Senchi. Enjoy bed, breakfast, and dinner at a special Senchi weekday pay promo. 2,500 Ghana cedis per night. Call Linda. 0242 886 510. Yeah, her name is Linda. 0242 886 510. Ask about the Independence Day promotion. The Royal Senchi is still Ghana's leading hotel. Get Dano Milk, a rich source of natural protein fortified with vitamin A, with several other vitamins and essential nutrients that keep you nourished and healthy every day. Rich in protein, rich in iodine, rich in calcium. 100% of our milk is sourced from our farms in Europe, so we control the entire production process. We have the Dano Milk Coffee 3-in-1, Dano Milk Chocolate 3-in-1, and the Dano Milk Cool Cow Plain Powdered Milk. There's also the Dano Evaporated Milk. It's affordable in a shop near you. Dano, go for it.
And if you're looking for amazing local poultry, look no further than Akuko Tasty. La Bianca Company Limited, the leading frozen foods company in Ghana, is at it again. Akuko Tasty is locally produced, bred, and slaughtered. It's fresh frozen chicken. It comes freshly portioned. Chicken breast, thighs, wings, backs, and gizzards. Now, La Bianca is the sole distributor of Akuko Tasty. And for your fresh quality frozen foods, contact them. They're at the Fishing Harbour, Tema Newtown Road, opposite the NIB Bank. Call 0505 431 111. La Bianca, your number one frozen foods company. And in the beginning, children in her community used to walk to school. Today, not only are her bamboo bicycles making it easier for these children to get to school, Bernice Dapa also employs many women. At ABSA, this is what we call Africanacity, the distinct ability of the Ghanaian to always get things done. Africanacity is our inspiration. It defines who we are and what we do. It's our commitment to helping people find a way to get things done. To find out more, visit absa.com.gh.
And Safe Life Experience Consult is bringing you an unforgettable experience this Easter. Get to experience a pilgrimage this Easter to Israel, to Rome, and to Dubai. There's places like Nazareth, Bethlehem, the Dead Sea, the Wailing Wall in Israel, the 4 basilicas, the city of Assisi. Which saint is from there?
Francis.
Saint Francis of Assisi. Celebrate Easter Sunday with the Pope. Safe Life Experience Consult has various packages available to choose from. You could be visiting Israel or Rome, or Israel and Rome, Dubai and Israel. There's also the Rome and Dubai packages. So there are different combinations as well, right? This is from the 29th of March to the 16th of April 2023. And the cost starts from 2,900 USD. I know you can afford this.
Bernardino.
Oh, yes, you can. You can also join our Dubai trip this Easter for only 700 USD. Just Dubai. Go and dirty yourself and come. Give yourself, your parents, or your loved ones this wonderful experience. Now, call Safe Life Experience Consult on 0550 400 444. That's 0550 400 444. Or you can WhatsApp 0277 556 033. 0277 556 033. Locate our office at Asylum Down, opposite Delta Security. Terms and conditions apply.
you said, the Daily Graphic has really highlighted this on the front page of this morning's edition, and it says there's a widespread shortage of some vaccines used for routine immunization of babies from birth to at least 18 months. Now, this has the potential to increase the vulnerability of children to the diseases that the vaccines seek to protect them against. So under routine vaccination, you've got the BCG vaccine, which is for tuberculosis, right? Oral polio we know, measles and rubella, meningitis and diphtheria, tetanus, pertussis, which is whooping cough. All of these are administered, okay? Now, polio, hepatitis B, the influenza virus, and 6 infectious diseases that are particularly dangerous to babies are also among those administered. But when Daily Graphic checked with health facilities in the capitals of Greater Accra, Western Region, Central, Upper West, Bono, Eastern and Upper East regions, they confirm the situation on some of the shortages. Now, let's go to Accra first. Managers of some of the health facilities that are popular for their child welfare and public health services confirmed that there are shortages. They declined to give details, however. Some of them just didn't want to speak on record for obvious reasons. Some said someone else is the person to speak to about the issue. In the Eastern region, again, they confirmed. They actually specified that those in short supply are the vaccines for measles, rubella, penta, and rota, and oral polio. So they actually specified that these are the ones they're missing. In Bolgatanga, the shortage of routine immunization vaccines is really frustrating the health workers there. They're short on BCG, which is again for tuberculosis, polio, measles, yellow fever, meningitis. This is very concerning, actually. In WA, 4 of the vaccines for prevention of childhood diseases are in short supply, according to the story here in the graphic. So it looks like they're very thorough with the investigation. Quite a number.
Childhood killer diseases
are highlighted there.
You mentioned measles, rubella.
Yeah.
You mentioned
TB.
meningitis. You mentioned TB. You mentioned polio.
Yes.
And this is across the country. Where did they go? Did they go to Upper East? I see Bolga. I see Wa.
Yeah, they went to Upper East. They went to Upper West. They went to Bono. They went to Eastern, Western, Central, and Greater Accra.
The whole country. All right. We're going to bring you a story we did a year ago. Actually, 9th February. All right. So that's 2 weeks ago. And this is from the Sagnerigu Municipal Hospital, where the mothers were appealing to the GHS to make available measles vaccines and other vaccines under the expanded immunization program. According to the mothers, hospitals in the area had not had vaccines for over a month. Now, within the period that we're doing this story, we're told that the Northern region had had a measles outbreak since October. So October, November, December, January, February. Now, the acting Northern Regional Director of Health, Brahima Baba Abubakari, denied reports of vaccine shortage in the region. Meanwhile, our checks at facilities in Savelugu, Tamale, and Sagnerigu confirmed the non-availability of vaccines. So, Sky, you see a trend.
Yeah.
Sagnerigu, Tamale, Savelugu, people say there's no vaccine. But the acting Regional Health Director said there were vaccines. Here are some of the mothers talking to our reporter about the situation.
We, the mothers, say there's no vaccine. Even if you're even pregnant, you go to the weighing. Those you yourself should go and buy medicine. So I will go every month. And if I go every month, they'll say there's no vaccine. All the hospitals in Northern region here, they're not having them.
My baby is 6 months now. But after we are up to like 40 days, we went there first, and they gave us the vaccine. Other months we went there and they gave us the other one. But the last one, whenever we went there, that the vaccine is not there. I went there like 3 months now, and they are still telling me that the vaccine is not yet come. We decided to go to other hospitals, but I heard some people saying that other hospitals there is the same problem.
I haven't, because many people are saying they went there and it's not there. So for that matter, I'm not able to go. If the disease attack my child, I'll be sad or I'll be disturbed. So I didn't go. I don't want the disease to attack my child, so I've not been going to public places because the disease is very horrible. So we don't want it to attack our children. So we are appealing the government to provide the medicines for us.
So there you have it. It's did the story talk about what government officials had said about this? Because in our story, the regional director of health denied the shortage, but our checks showed that there was a shortage. And then, of course, listeners sent or have sent messages confirming the situation. If I could read a few.
Okay. Well, while you get those, a source at the Central Regional Health Directorate, a source, told Daily Graphic that while there were shortages at some of the facilities, the situation was not widespread. Now, the Central Regional Director of Health, Dr. Kwabena Agyepong, said that the issues relating to the shortages were reported last year, but had since been generally resolved in the region. That's what she's saying. She said that the recent issues the directorate picked up were not about dire shortages, but challenges with the effective redistribution of the vaccines at the district level.
Okay.
She also indicated that sometimes the vaccines had to be redistributed for facilities that needed them to have them, rather than stocking them at one facility. So she said on that, we're constantly communicating to ensure effective and proper redistribution of all vaccines. Now, the PRO for Cape Coast Teaching Hospital said that the hospital did not have the oral polio vaccine and the rotavirus vaccine. So that's polio and then rotavirus, which causes severe diarrhea in babies.
If it's a distribution problem, could they publish a list of facilities that have the vaccines so that we can go there? Because they're suggesting that the thing is available, but it's like in some places it's not there.
Right.
This is not rocket science.
At all.
You know, if the vaccines, because, well, that's why we are testing. Let's read a few comments on this. Couple comments. Good morning, Bernard. Concerning the vaccine shortages, we have the same issue here. I was being careful in order not to say it, but I didn't know it was nationwide, but apparently it is. There's no name attached to this message. Bernard, there's a shortage of vital vaccines for babies across our health facility. I took my baby for vaccination, and I was told that we did not have the polio vaccine since June. Kindly look into this. This is from Kojo. Another one coming in. Good morning, Bernard. This is Emmanuel from Tamale. My boy has not received his pneumococcal, BCG, and OPC vaccines since both last year, October. OPV, hepatitis B, and pneumococcal 2. All these vaccines are in shortage here at the Tamale Teaching Hospital and all hospitals and CHIPS compounds within the region. I'm sure there are a couple more on this vaccine story, if you could help me to read them.
So I've been looking for meningitis A vaccine since February 2022. So that's a year. Whenever we go, we're told they still haven't received it. My sister was at Kwabena yesterday for measles, and it's the same story. Okay. Good morning, Bernard. The shortage of vaccines is just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of issues that are not being told due to victimization. Don't be surprised to wake up one day to be told you have to pay for the air you're breathing because we need money. This is Jones in La.
Okay, and then a couple more coming in on the vaccine situation.
Okay, one other aspect of the the Daily Graphic story this morning. So, citing instances that our country defaulted, Mrs. Cecilia Sinu, who is the Executive Director for Hope and Future Generation, is talking about the fact that we default in paying our percentage of a contribution to the Global Alliance for Vaccine and Immunization over the years, so Gavi. Okay, so she cited some instances. She said in 2018, for instance, we paid 30% out of the 69% that we were expected to contribute to routine immunization expenditure. Gains made in immunization coverage and outcomes may not be sustainable if domestic funding for immunization remains limited. Now, the country initiated the EPI in the year 1978, so that's when we really started focusing on our vaccination immunization program. It made it countrywide in 1985. They targeted expanding immunization coverage among children under the age of 1 from 6% to 80% against what we used to call the 6 killer diseases, right? Tetanus, pertussis, tuberculosis, diphtheria, polio, and measles, now measles rubella. Data available to GHS indicates that there's been a significant fall in morbidity rates of vaccine-preventable diseases such as measles and polio, obviously because of the success of the vaccination program. But so a lot of this has to do with funding as well and payment, and we do pay something toward the vaccines we receive. But the comment they make about donor funding is that by 2026, the donor funding for immunization is expected to dry up. So it basically, in the next 3 years, we've got to figure out a way to plug that gap. And I don't know.
And I remember, and I keep going back to this because, you know, COVID helped all of us to read a bit more about health and try and understand the conditions under which our health workers function. And we all schooled ourselves in things like that. And I remember distinctly the prioritization of health care generally by the government, and then the promise to invest in local alternatives to vaccine creation and also in local medication. Here's a message that's coming as well, which I feel paints the starkness of the situation. Good morning, Bernard. I trust you're doing well. Good to have you back. I don't know why we do this to ourselves. You know, my wife is a public health nurse, and she's been complaining about this since May 2022. She goes to work and comes back with so much pain because there are no vaccines to take care of the kids. What a country. Or what country are we building? I feel so ashamed, to say the least. Have a good day. All right, so I'm using this to try and gauge the length of time that this has been on. This person is claiming that it's been like this since May. Another texter says June. So, guys, this is probably 6 to 7 months.
There was one person who said February last year. So
Wow.
that's a year.
All right. What we'll do is when we do tech and social media trends and come back, we will look at the global dimensions of this. What's the UN? Is it WHO? So is this a global situation?
It's a WTO.
Huh?
World Health. No, well, I mean, it's a combination of those two institutions. If you're dealing
vaccine?
Vaccine. It comes within the scope of the World Trade Organization when you are dealing with the patent
property rights.
Yes, but I mean, the basic point I wanted to say is that I'm sure the WHO can give us a situational report on whether there's a global shortage of vaccines. Whether the COVID pandemic has influenced the priority of vaccine makers into different types of vaccines. Because don't forget, these are vaccines that are for children, infants, which supply chains have been used to doing until COVID came. So one of the issues with COVID was that it hampered supply chains, and also people reprioritized their resources. So I feel like going there, but I'm still reading a few more comments. Here's a doctor who I'll keep anonymous. Good morning, Bernard.
Morning.
The shortage is real. My boy hasn't received his measles and rubella, and this is a doctor in a facility in the capital. And his boy, who I presume is below 18 months, hasn't received his measles and rubella. The EPI doesn't have vaccine for conditions such as mumps. What is EPI?
Don't know.
Mumps. Okay.
The EPI, you said the EPI doesn't have one.
Can you?
We're looking for it.
Yeah. So I think we've established the fact that there's a shortage. What we've not established is what is causing it.
Expanded program on immunization.
Okay,
That's
it doesn't
EPI.
cover mumps. So we've established that there's a shortage, and this shortage is nationwide. What we haven't established is whether it's for all vaccines or specific kinds. We've heard a lot about measles and polio and BCG. All right, but we haven't heard. I mean, about 5 or 6 have been mentioned, right? So we've heard this. A nurse sent me a message this morning and said, and it seems to corroborate the view that there's a distribution problem. Said, Bernard, the shortage is real, but there are some in stock. She gives an example. She says the civil service polyclinic at the ministries, for example, does have some vaccines. So parents in Accra can come and get their babies vaccinated there, right? So you remember you said when you read the story, the official was saying there is a distribution problem, and so for me, the Ghana Health Service should come and tell us the facilities that have the vaccines so we can go there if the vaccine is a distribution problem. And this doctor who's been sending me this message that his own kid has not had the two, you want to tell me that there will be a place in Accra that has vaccines and he wouldn't send his child? A doctor of his standing? Do you understand? So he's saying his child doesn't have the measles and the rubella. So here are more comments. Good morning, Bernard and team. This shortage is really challenging. My daughter turned 9 months in January 2023, and we were to take the measles rubella. Upon arrival at Sinel Tema, we were told they only had one, which could serve 6 children, and they had pre-booked parents who came the previous month. We were advised to wait for a no-show. Then my baby would be considered. MFA Gali, Community 25.
Wow.
Charlie, that thing is becoming some way. Good morning, team. My neighbor was turned away at Medina Polyclinic when she went for the measles jab for a baby. Good morning. Good morning to you. So many messages now on this issue, so it seems as if it's a national crisis.
Yeah.
Where is the Minister of Health? Where is the Director of the Ghana Health Service? Where is
There's somebody who runs vaccines.
Let me give you the architecture of healthcare. So we have the Ministry of Health. We have a presidential advisor on health. So Minister of Health is Kwabena Agyepong. We have the special advisor to health on health is Dr. Siansari. We have a WHO certified health advisor that was brought in for COVID. You remember the guy? He's some technical.
From the World Health Organization.
Some high level guy. That's number 3. Then you have Dr. Anthony Kumabuaji, Ghana Health Service. Then he has a director of public health who we've interviewed a few times. Then you have somebody in charge of vaccines.
Yes, that's a channel.
So that's 7 people. So it's like a 7-tier chain. We shouldn't be having a national crisis on vaccines without a proper statement from any of them. We shouldn't be struggling to get answers to this question. We shouldn't be reading an unnamed source in graphic telling us that there's vaccine, but what do you take us for? Yeah. You understand? Like a whole graphical. Then they said when they spoke to district directors, right? But I feel like people who are higher in the chain should be taking responsibility for this. Not Dr. Ako Tuampao, medical director of it. No, he's not the one. We should, because it's a national problem. It's in Wa, it's in Boga, it's in Tamale, it's in Accra, it's in Koforidua, it's in Tema, it's in the whole country. So we expect more cogent response from the health authorities when we come back. We'll be right back. Citi Breakfast Show is still on. All right, so it's fast approaching 8 o'clock. It's time for tech and social media trends brought to us by
CalBank. Don't let the stress of planning the burial and funeral service of your loved one detract you from bidding your final goodbyes. Let CalBank take care of collecting the funeral donations while you take care of the rest. It's the CalBank and Sawa collection platform. It's a real-time online collection platform. Helps you easily manage all donations, be it cash, check, or via any digital means. Call 0800 500 500. CalBank, forward together. And the One Ghana promo is here. With just one Ghana cedi, you can have 20 minutes of talk time to all other networks and 1 gigabyte of data every day between 5 a.m. and 11:59 a.m. Just dial *530# to subscribe. Vodafone, further together.
And Godfred will take us through this segment. What is trending?
Well, still football dominated. Manchester United obviously is trending because Manchester United is playing today. So trending in Ghana at number 5. Liverpool still trending. Of course, you will trend the whole week after. That's sad.
I don't know whether it's easier to hate Liverpool than it is to love Man U. Why, like, if somebody's team is not doing well, it's such a big thing for you.
I know.
When your team is there to do well.
I don't know.
So
I know they do it to Arsenal all the time.
I don't know what their problem is.
So still very heavy on the football. But yesterday, I told you Esther Smith was trending, and this morning you played Esther Smith.
I listened to Esther Smith this dawn because of what you said.
And you uplifted.
And I chose one of the songs to play. I'll probably play another one tomorrow.
Well,
she's still trending?
No, right now she's still trending and has been joined by Cindy Thompson.
Oh my God. maybe we should run a Cindy Thompson Esther Smith song reel.
Yeah, one of these days. Both of them are loaded, man.
But Esther Smith's voice is just amazing.
Yeah, both of them are
very
loaded.
unique voice.
Yes. Yeah. So Cindy Thompson is also trending quite heavily in Ghana this morning. Let me take you quickly to some tech news. So in the EU, there's the development of a new app that is designed to reduce online viewing of child sexual abuse material. And it has received money from the EU. The EU says they will give this company money to build this thing. So they are giving them 1.8 million euros to build this app for them. Now, it will be tested with volunteers who have sought help because they are drawn to illegal images and want to ensure they cannot act on them. And you always ask this question. So why is it like our governments and things, they don't give app makers and things money in this country to build some of these things?
I think that when it comes, there are two things we need to commend the Europeans for: food safety and online safety. Because if you look at the kind of things the EU invests money into when it comes to food, if you go to WTO, if it wasn't for the EU, we'd be eating a lot of bad food. Because there are phytosanitary conditions that they place, even on food from America. EU is heavily invested in that. Same with regulating the technology space. You know, and I think we should be grateful for this because they have a lot more money and we can borrow a lot of good things from that part of the world. We should not play any we shouldn't deceive ourselves. Some of these things they are doing, we should copy from them. I'm telling you, because left to tech companies alone, left to food companies
They'll
alone,
do what they want.
left to big pharma alone, you can die for all they care.
Yeah. See, that is where we also need to develop our after.
Yes.
And the institutions that will make it work, so that regulations like that can be in play. Because as we speak, it is individual countries doing their own thing.
Yeah.
And the things leave one country and enter another illegally.
Yeah.
But if you enter the EU market through, a European country, you can guarantee that the standards are the same across the board.
Yes.
So
1.8 million euros from the EU to this company to build this app for them.
Wonderful.
Yes.
When they finish, we'll use it.
That's the issue. When they finish, we'll use it.
We'll all use it. Charlie, it was
1.8, like, that child like that too.
They must. We'll use it for them.
Because, I mean, Honorable Martin read a statement
Yes.
recently on this child abuse in Parliament.
Yes.
And the numbers in terms of the number of children whose images are being uploaded from Ghana.
The whole point is that technology governance is
terrible.
very poor in Ghana.
In Ghana, yeah.
Technology governance is very poor.
Let me give you 2 quick updates. Something that will excite users of YouTube Music. Bernard loves his music. Okwi loves her music as well. I love my music. So YouTube Music is introducing a new feature that allows users to create a custom radio list. The feature rolling out to Android as well as iOS will let users choose artists, songs, and their frequency. For now, users can choose up to 30 of their favorite artists for customized radio playlists.
If you have, in my Ghana gospel, you have Diana Hamilton. You definitely have now Esther Smith.
Yes.
You have Cindy Thompson.
Yes.
You have Joe Mettle. You have Joe Beecham.
Yeah.
You have Soul Winners.
Yes.
You have Joyful Way Incorporated. And a bit of Kukui Hansen. Just to spice up the,
Now, Apple and Spotify already provide the choose.
I've arrived.
Apple and Spotify already provide the choice to choose artists for radio playlists, but they do not offer the additional customization options that YouTube Music is offering. So that's an update that users of YouTube Music would find interesting. And then finally, let me see. I don't know how many people use Gmail's Outlook.
These
Not
days
many.
I'm a calendar person.
Okay, so then I'll leave this update for another day.
Yes. You've given too much information already. That was taking social media trends. Brought to you by Bank and Vodafone.
Babe, so what are we doing tomorrow?
I have to go to the bank, then go and pay for the stuff for my place. Then maybe back to the bank to transfer what's left to my brother. So
Are you serious? You're going to the bank twice in one day? Who is she? Which bank? Which branch?
Oh, babe, but...
Oh, don't babe me. What's her name? Tell her what?
It's a new day.
Make your life easy with Bank mobile banking. Just dial *771#, and just like that, your life is easy. Transfer money from your Bank account to any other account. Do mobile money and other payments right from your bank account on your phone, anytime, anywhere. No internet, no charges. It's just that easy. *771#. Banking is easy with Bank.
Cowbank, forward together.
Cowbank, forward together. One Ghana, pip. Just one Ghana. Vodafone, one Ghana promo.
Yo, bro, I beg, make you give me correct shock absorber. Or make a do video concept, then take the Gaussian P for the engine show you.
Hey, yawa humache. Every morning you the tear calls, they browse. Actually, something they there.
Hey, Tago, the way town make hot. I grow best one if it be you where you get Vodafone one Ghana promo them out. 20 minutes talk time to call all networks where you start get data and 1 gig from 5 a.m. to 11:59 a.m. Bye. Anka you go do pass me self, Ankasa. You dial *530#. Make we enjoy. You go fit subscribe as many times as you want.
Yes, plantain chips.
Yo, sweet Ama, take this by Vodafone one Ghana bundle. Moku vibe plus video calls and taste. You catch the vibe. Early morning, 5 a.m. sharp.
Vodafone, further together.
Join the conversation on the Citi Breakfast Show on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag CitiCBS.
There are moments in life when you're just so scared and you feel like just giving up. Oh, but Dino Milk is saying, we know that you can do it. Believe in yourself and then go for it. Go for it. Nourish mental. That is It's your Dano milk. Oh.
Choose nourishment. Choose Dano Milk Whole Cow, your nutritious instant powdered milk.
Dano Milk. Go for it.
This advert is FDA approved.
There will never be a better time to buy a new Samsung phone. Love is in the air, and great gifts await you when you buy selected Samsung phones this February. Automatically get up to 2,000 cedis worth of fuel coupons, spa, shopping vouchers, as well as phone cases and more when you buy selected phones at our authorized stores. If you've been waiting months to buy a new phone, this is the time to stop telling yourself next month. Live a little and leave with a gift.
This offer is valid throughout this February. But if you have a sweet tooth, shop in our partner stores from the 11th to 14th February and get free extra chocolate. Valentine is here. Buy a Samsung and get a gift. Terms and conditions apply.
Ghana, you inspire us. Where others saw bamboo, Bernard Avle saw bicycles. Bernard Avle grew up in a small rural community where kids walk a long way to school every day. Moved by this, she built her first bicycle using bamboo. Today, she employs many women, and her bamboo bikes makes it easier for children to get to school. Ghana, at ABSA, we call this Africanacity. Africanacity is our inspiration behind who we are and what we do. It's our commitment to helping people find a way to get things done. We love Africanacity. To find out more, visit absa.com.gh.
1xBet. Easy betting, easy winnings. 1xBet, the most reliable service to make deposits easily with high odds and numerous bonuses on the spot. Register now at 1xBet.com.gh. Use promo code BESTODDSGH. Get 300% bonus up to 3,445 Ghana cedis on your first deposit. Easy to use, easy to have a chance to win. 1xBet, reliable bookmaker. Gambling can be addictive. Bet responsibly. Not for person under 18 years. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission.
Join the conversation on the Citi Breakfast Show on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag CitiCBS.
It's 10 minutes past 8, still on the vaccine shortage. We're coming back to that shortly. Couple of quick announcements for you from Kokui before we get into those.
Yes, the British Council is inviting higher education institutions, heads of schools, policymakers, entrepreneurship hubs, employers, students, graduates, and the general public to the Innovation for African Universities Ghana Showcase and Dissemination event. British Council designed the IAU program to strengthen the capacity of universities and increase their capability to participate in and contribute as key players within the entrepreneurship ecosystem. The IAU program has facilitated 24 Africa-UK university partnerships, implementing projects to support young people seeking to develop job creation entities and sustainable enterprises. 4 out of the 24 collaboration grants were awarded to Ghanaian universities, enabling them to collaborate with UK university partners and ecosystem players to develop and deliver various entrepreneurship and innovation-related projects. Now, the launch is tomorrow, Friday the 24th of February, from 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. And on Saturday the 25th of February, there'll be a series of conversations on innovation, entrepreneurship, and employability. Exhibitions of projects and products by beneficiaries will run from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. on both days. The venue is the British Council in Accra. To attend this Innovation for African Universities showcase, visit britishcouncil.org.gh and social media pages to register. And the rich taste of Dano milk makes a perfect combination with your tea, your oats, Gary soakings, cocoa, etc. to give you a great taste you've always desired. Dano milk is rich in natural protein and fortified with vitamin A. It also has iodine and calcium. Choose Dano milk because 100% of our milk is sourced from our farms in Europe, so we control the entire production process to ensure that the milk that you get keeps its natural quality. Dano milk is natural and it comes in different variants, so you can go and check your grocery store and look for Dano milk. Go for it.
So my party don't lose God, can't walk home after everybody singing hallelujah. Hallelujah.
All right, so it's 8:12. Don't forget later on we're speaking to Kwabena Agyepong, who's aspiring, is that a word, or contending?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Or hopeful for the MPP flag bearer slot. But for now, though, we're back on the vaccines conversation. A few more comments coming up on this.
Yes, good morning, Bernard and team. There are no vaccines at Achimota Hospital. My wife and my 1-month-old baby went there for weigh-in. Okay. Bernard and team, I'm a principal community health nurse. I've been working for 10 years. Number one, the 6 killer diseases are now known as the vaccine preventable diseases, and there are now more than 6. 2, the shortage is ongoing. I was supposed to go for a child welfare clinic. I went, but I did only growth monitoring and no vaccination. 3, we can't come out and talk because our director told us in our faces that you will smell pepper if you speak to any media house. So I want to remain anonymous.
So this director who is telling you this, what is his aim? What is his aim?
I think it's criminal.
That you should keep quiet so that people will not know that there's a shortage of vaccines.
I mean, what kind of?
But I mean, if you read the graphic story,
it runs through.
Everywhere
Everybody's afraid.
you go,
It says,
like,
I'll be victimized.
I want to keep my job. And how did we get here?
How?
That you have a situation of public interest, vaccine shortage that should be brought out so that whatever needs to be done will be done.
And everybody's looking out for number
people
one.
are more interested in keeping their jobs and being on their. It's like, what kind of society are we creating?
I don't understand it.
You know, I mean, you can read. Somebody says, "Oh, me like." Let me read this.
Yes, I don't want to be transferred.
Managers of some health facilities that are popular for child welfare and public health services confirm the shortage, but decline to give details. When pressed, some of them, for fear of victimization, blurted out, "Madam, please, I love my job. Please, I don't want to be transferred," among others. Some of the managers kept pushing the responsibility to speak to the next person, saying, "I'm not the right person to speak to the issue." This is not right. And this is throughout the story. Let's talk to the Director General of Ghana Health Service, Dr. Kwabena Agyepong, on this and other matters. Good morning, Doc. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Bernard.
Is there something in the health service that prevents officials from speaking to media people when it comes to issues like this? Because in the graphic story, a lot of the people who they tried to talk to in facilities under the GHS said they weren't going to talk to them, even though they could confirm anonymously that there was a shortage of vaccines. They didn't feel safe to speak about it. I'm not sure that's the kind of system you want to oversee, is it?
But I think, Bernard, you have knowledge and experience with the way we communicate. That we are not hiding anything. We talk about everything. If someone decides that he or she doesn't want to talk about something because at that level it is boss who should speak to the thing, doesn't mean that there's any gagging. Otherwise, how would Graphic get the information they have? How would GBC get the information that they have?
Well, they spoke to regional directors, and they spoke to regional directors.
I don't want to speak. It doesn't mean that there's a gap. The person I don't know how.
No, let me explain. What I'm saying is that
giving all the people you talk to.
Yeah.
Nobody says I won't talk to you.
What I'm saying is that, you see, for the way we work, we have to ascertain a story from the bottom up before we can start calling. I can't just pick up my phone and call you and ask you whether there's a vaccine shortage.
I know.
I send a reporter to a facility to ascertain on the ground. He speaks to mothers, and the mothers say, when we come, they ask us to go and come back. We can't just use the mother's side of the story to do a story. So you go to the facility manager and say, okay, mothers have said for the past 3 months when they don't have a vaccine. What is the situation? What you expect the person to say is that, well, there's a shortage or there's a supply issue. Then we have a rounded story. A lot of the people on the ground will not talk to you until you call a regional director. A regional director is too busy to be speaking to the media every day because you've gone to 10 hospitals. So my point is that if people at the facility level don't feel safe enough to tell an ordinary journalist whether there's a shortage of a vaccine or not, that is not the best.
Bernard, I understand. It may have been an individual decision, but there's no policy in the service that does not prevent you from speaking what you know. What you don't want is that if you don't have the information, then get the information to put the right information out there. For us, that's the only thing. But nobody.
So yes, my last point on this: there may be no policy, but is there a culture of punishing people who speak to the press by way of transfers? Because you see, there's a difference between a policy and a culture. A policy is something you've written that you do. A culture can be when somebody does something, silently he's transferred. Even though it's not a policy, he's still punished. So the people may not feel safe to talk because it may be an unwritten rule.
There is no policy or culture like that. And that is why we have run a very transparent system across the country. If that person doesn't feel that he has information to talk about it, I don't see anybody who says I was transferred because I spoke the truth. No, we don't do that.
Fair enough.
So if the person doesn't have the right information, he might decide to be fair to the person who has the data in terms of the shortage or whatever. But that doesn't mean that it's a culture. This morning you call my director and program manager, and everybody's ready to talk to you.
Wonderful.
Nobody's hiding anything.
Wonderful. So what is the situation with vaccines across the country? Particularly for children, yes.
There are 3 key traditional vaccines that we have run out towards the end of the year. This is the OPV, that's the polio virus vaccine. We have the BCG, and then the measles rubella vaccine. We were supposed to procure in the fourth quarter of the year for 2023. But due to the currency fluctuation, the amount of funds that was available in cities could not meet up. So orders are being made now, and we're expecting that within the next 2 weeks, we'll be able to catch up. We know that we have shortages across the country in all those areas, but that's not the situation. So we are working with the UNICEF and our partners to ensure that within the 2 weeks, we are able to bring in these 3 vaccines. All other vaccines are available.
So just to be clear, the 3 are the BCG, the measles, rubella, and then
rubella,
the OPV.
And then the oral polio.
I see. So where BCG is for which condition? OPV is for polio.
For prevention of tuberculosis.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And the measles is measles.
And the measles is for measles, and then rubella. That's the one we call German measles.
So if anybody goes for meningitis, diphtheria, tetanus, they would, or whooping cough, they will get.
These are the only vaccines that we have a shortage.
Okay. And how long have we had this shortage?
It started, I would say, we found out around January that we were shorting. So we did redistribution where regions where they have excess distributor whilst we're waiting to address the supply chain challenge. So I would say about 6 weeks. But of course, as the day goes by, the shortages get acute as when we prepare to get the vaccines to be brought in.
Some mothers contacted us and claimed that as far back as June 2022, they had been turned away for one of the 3 you mentioned. So, but you're saying that the situation began in January?
There is always maldistribution in specific facilities. Okay, so that cannot be attributed to because they may have a cold chain problem. They may have had a supply. They may not probably pick their supplies, etc. And so, in all the over 9,000 centers that we run, we are going to have some places, 1 or 2 places, where there might be some shortage, not because there's a global shortage, but because of some logistical aberrations that have made them not to have the vaccine at the time that they were the person needed.
Okay. But in terms of this specific one you're referring to, it is because of exchange rate induced financial shortage.
So you have funds that you're going to buy, it's in cities. Or because of the exchange rate, of course, it does not meet up the amount of dollars you need to pay for that. And so it caused a delay. But orders are being made, and we expect that within the week or 2, it will be flown in, and then we will quickly distribute.
That was interesting because I thought that the expanded immunization program, a lot of the funding came from one of 2 sources, donor support and also the Global Fund. And I'm supposing that these monies are paid in foreign currency.
There are 2 categories. We have the Gavi supported.
Hello?
Yes, I said there are 2 sources. We have the Gavi one, which Ghana pays a co-fund, which is co-share with Gavi. That is available. There's also the traditional one, which Ghana pays 100%. And that is where of the 5, that's where we have 3 that is short that we are bringing them in.
So for the Gavi one, half of it is paid by external sources and then we match the funding. But then for
we match the funding,
But the other one is 100% government of Ghana money.
Yes, yes.
Do we know the level of financial outlay or how much the financial gap is for that particular one, the second one you referred to?
The gap. Normally, plus everything, it should be about $3 to $4 million. But you can decide to buy them in the various quarters. And so that's what.
But this $3 to $4 million will be per annum?
Not necessarily. About half a year or so.
Oh, wow.
So we've made the necessary arrangements to get stocks in and quickly as we put in efforts to make sure that we catch up on all those things. So that is the situation.
Which suggests that we didn't have stock ahead of time, so that when the exchange rate challenges came and we didn't have the money, then there was a shortage. Because if we have stock,
there's always a time within which these orders are made. Vaccines have cold chain issues. They also have expiry. So there's a timeline within which, based on your stocks, you order. So don't just buy and keep.
All right.
There's a time within which you need to get them.
All right. Pardon my ignorance on the way the vaccine thing works. I recall during COVID, there was a lot of discussion about we producing our own vaccines here. There was a National Vaccine Institute. They even have an office in cantonments. And a lot was said about support to places like Noguchi to help us produce our own vaccines. To your mind, did this include vaccines for the 6 childhood killer diseases, or this was more in reference to COVID?
No, I thought it's more in reference to COVID and other vaccines, but the ones that are needed most. Then you see, establishing a vaccine institute, producing a vaccine is a process. And so now the act has been formed. You have to do the research, you have to do the animal trials, you have to do human trials. So it's a process. But I believe that over time, we'll come to where we'll be producing our own vaccines.
How close are we to doing that? A year, 2 years, a decade, a century?
No, a century. I thought it's a process. You see, you have to have the laboratory, you have to do your animal trials, you have to do your clinical trials, you have the WHO and everything certification. So, but you have to start somewhere. Okay, so I can't give you time. You need to have the certification that the standards are up enough to use for safety, etc. So it's a process. It's not just an event. So
okay, a couple more questions. There were also reports from the checks by the paper and other journalists that there's also a nationwide shortage of syringes, the BCG syringes. Is this true? And is this related to what you're just describing?
As a package. When you buy BCG, you buy BCG and its accessories. So if you don't have BCG, you won't have a syringe.
All right. Now, the other question which I believe the public wants to know is, so now that we have had this shortage, we've done a big campaign nationwide about vaccination. It's possibly the most successful public education campaign in Africa. The fact that every mother, whether they give birth in hospital or not, will take their child for vaccination. So it's a big thing. How long can mothers stay without vaccinating their infants?
I've first said that within the next 2 weeks, we should expect some supplies. And we'll do a massive catch-up campaign to ensure that those who missed it are vaccinated. Normally, we are able to do a lot of vaccination in a very short time, as you are aware. So once the supply comes in, we'll quickly do a catch-up. Where there are areas where we need to do some mass vaccination, that will also be done to ensure that we don't forestall any possible outbreaks, etc. But you see, vaccination has a minimum interval. It doesn't have a maximum time that you can give it. But ideally, it has to be given within a certain range. So even though if you are supposed to do it in 6 weeks and you miss 4 weeks, it's still appropriate that the next dose can be given to.
So, and again, don't take this question wrongly. Had the graphic not done this story, when were you hoping to announce to parents that there was a shortage and that you will do a catch-up program? Because this really is a media campaign that has brought this out.
I think you are in Accra. The service is everywhere. The communities, the district directors, they have engaged their people and they've informed about this is where we are. As soon as we can, we'll do a catch-up campaign by vaccination for you. So it is not something that has to be done always at a central level. And we didn't have shortages in all districts, and we still don't have shortage in all districts. But
Yeah, but Doc, honestly,
they are dealing with them.
Doc, the story, let me give you where they did Takrady, Cape Coast, Sunyani, Kumasi, Koforidua, they did Wa, they did Bolga. It's a national story. So if you're saying that I'm in Accra and therefore I may not know, all the people who were spoken to in this story were just saying that they didn't have the medicine, they didn't know where it was going to come. So my question is that I'm framing the question. I'm saying that had it not been for the report, we would not know that there was even a plan to do a catch-up. So if Ghana Health Service had come out to say, look, we have a shortage induced by forex. In 2-3 weeks, we're going to get vaccines, and we are going to ask all mothers who have not vaccinated to come back. This story would not even have been necessary. This story has come out because media people have gone out to check because of people's complaints. So it's almost like we are chasing the story. So if I'm asking you, how are you going to catch up? And you say, well, it's people already know. I beg you, I don't think people know.
Bernard, I don't think people know. Ghana Health Service has always been upfront with information before the media ask questions. This, as you looking for your supplies and make sure that we have some information and definite dates for people, that is what it is. And we have not hidden it. The community, the district have been engaging their community and telling them about the shortage and doing some redistribution from districts where they have access to solve that until where we have some of these shortages. So
if the parents knew, they wouldn't be thronging the hospitals and keep asking. I mean, when our reporter went to
you know how?
No, I don't know. I don't know because we are right now, Doc. We have one of the most.
Bernard, it's not at all vaccines. We are doing about 11 of them.
Yeah, but the three basic vaccines. In fact, people who have contacted me here include doctors who are saying that they have not been able to vaccinate their children because they don't know when the vaccine will come. And these are doctors working in the public health service telling me. So if you're telling me that there's already a plan to catch up, and even doctors who have kids have not.
What I'm saying is that once the vaccines come in, those who need vaccination will quickly be vaccinated, and the community announcements will be made, and all those people will be brought in to get vaccinated. So yes, we are acknowledging that there has been a shortage. We are anticipating that we'll get it much earlier than it is, and
my main concern is that if a mother is skeptical about vaccination and she hasn't vaccinated her child for 3 months and nothing happens to the child, she'll say, this vaccination thing because for 3 months my money vaccine. Do you understand? So you're saying there's a minimum but not the maximum space. I'm coming on. You see,
what I'm just saying
let me ask the question. Please pardon me. I'm happy you are talking to me, so I want the public to get the whole point. So just be patient. What I'm saying is that could this not lead to a reversal in the gains in the public success of national immunization programs? In certain parts of Africa, including northern Nigeria, there are so many people who don't go for vaccination because of all kinds of conspiracies. Now, if in Ghana, luckily, most parents send their kids for vaccination, this exchange rate induced shortage you talk about could lead to a lot of things, because if somebody felt that vaccination was not necessary, and after 3 months they don't vaccinate and nothing happens to their child, they say, I don't cry, here. Do you get me? And a lot of our mothers use anecdotal evidence to say, when you were a child, I used to do this and nothing happened, so nothing will happen, that kind of thing. So I'm suggesting to you that this is much more serious than just a 2-month shortage. This could lead to major reversals in gains we've made in public health, and therefore requires a lot more forthrightness and urgency.
Yeah, thank you, Bernard. And I like your anecdotal analysis. Yes, we are very concerned. That's why we are working very hard around the clock with the ministry and the minister to make sure that we have the stocks, not just for the reversal, but to ensure that we don't have any outbreak of disease. And so we're working on it to ensure that we have them done. Hopefully, the issue about vaccine is that even when you have missed a certain point, you can always take them. And that's why I'm talking about the catch-up. And then we also make sure that we put in systems to make sure this unfortunate incident doesn't happen. You've not seen this for years. I don't remember the last time you heard about shortage of vaccines in the country. So that tells you that this is not a very usual practice, expectation.
No,
so
seriously, it's true.
And thank you for also bringing it up. And I'm sure this education also helps go around for people to know that this is a challenge that in the next 2-3 weeks, we should get vaccines.
So I want to get a final comment from you. Final comment in terms of assurance. You said in the next 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
I want you to be a bit more specific. Whether in those next 2-3 weeks, the backlog. You see, there's been a shortage that we believe has been on since June. You are saying it's from January, no problem. What quantity are we going to get in the next 2-3 weeks? And will that quantity be enough to deal with the number of babies who need to be vaccinated within the 2-3 weeks that you refer to?
Yes, it will bring in enough to do catch up. To be enough to take things forward and make sure that such is are also entertained. So I just want to assure Ghanaians that we are bringing in the vaccine. Of course, it's coming and availability. That's why I've given a range of between 2 to 3 weeks. It will be available to vaccinate all children. And also want to add that it is not every vaccine that is in short supply. There are others are available. The DPTs, the MRs, and the DTs, they are all available. So those who need can still go, get what they need. The meningitis, those things, they are all available. What is missing is the one at birth, which is BCG, and that. And so we assure them that as soon as it comes, we also make the necessary step to catch up on all those who have missed their and get it vaccinated.
Thank you for talking.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you for talking to us, and I want to put on record that you do talk to the press. You are accessible, and our comments about lack of accessibility do not refer to you because we get you routinely when we have to get you. So I need to commend you for that. Thank you very much, Dr. Patukuma Boaji, speaking to us, confirming the shortage, explaining the reason, giving a timeline for recovery. So if you're a parent listening, in 2 to 3 weeks. That's the issue now. In 2. No, Charlie, it's not accounting. The only job in the world which is accurate is accounting. It's like, if you get it wrong, it's wrong. But they are said like economics, there's space. So in 2 to 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. Today is what? 23rd. So 1 week is first. 1 week is what? 2nd March. 2nd week is 9th March. 3rd week is add 7 to 9. 16th March. So quarter by 16th March, dear. So what do Bani call hospital Albania? Based on what the man has said, Godfrey, can I make that conclusion? That by 16th March, I'm imposing the list.
I want him to put that on paper.
Oh yeah, you said it. Why he said it on paper?
You see, how difficult is it to issue a statement saying, Ghana Health Service wants to make the general public aware that there is a temporary shortage of vaccines in the following areas, blah, 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 blah.
Oh, but I just explained.
What I'm saying is they could have issued this just to give parents, so that people know that, okay, this is the situation. They posted in all healthcare centers.
He said the health centers are telling the people.
Temporarily?
No, he said they are telling the people.
Then, as you just said, in 2 to 3 weeks we got vaccines.
Yes.
Please issue the public, okay, by blah, the 16th March from your calculation, we want to assure all well-meaning parents and our cherished public that by 16th March...
Let's be a bit realistic. I feel like because of... You see, this guy is doing very well because, you see, in Ghana, everything has become politicized. So even if you go and issue that statement, there will be political consequences in the sense that we have politicized everything. So he's managing Ghana Health as a technocrat. If he goes to issue a statement saying, and I'm not justifying his whatever, I'm just trying to explain. If he goes to issue a statement saying or admitting something, there are political ramifications.
It's reality.
But that's
we don't have vaccines.
That's the story.
It's a health crisis.
I know, but in Ghana we paper over the cracks until we can't. Like, there's a whole trend of things the government has said that they will not admit, that they've had to admit. They've been forced by circumstance, from the state of the economy to the state of the debt. Everything that has been put to this government about something major, they will deny it until they are exposed.
You know what?
So you're not expecting to come out and say the shortage of vaccines. NDC will add it to their list. Shortage of vaccines.
That's very unfortunate.
So they will keep it quiet until graphic exposes. Then they have to come out and answer.
That the health and well-being of children is being jeopardized
because go come until
of political.
So in fact, if it's 2 to 3 weeks is to be believed, they would have gotten away with it in 3 weeks if Graphic hadn't released the story this morning. So if what he said about 3 weeks is to be believed, that in 3 weeks they'll get the vaccines, this thing would have been denied. Because in fact, when we went to Tamale, and I need to put this on record, when our team went to Tamale, the acting director of health, Bernard Avle, denied this. Meanwhile, this is February. Meanwhile, Dr. Kwabena says the shortage began in January. You see,
meanwhile, some other people told us that it started in June.
Yes, meanwhile, the acting Northern Regional Director of Health told our reporter that there's no shortage in the region.
You know what I would do?
Hey, don't go to court.
No.
So
no, it's not reached there. I think what I would do is this morning, I would lobby someone in Parliament
to make a statement.
To make an urgent statement on the floor of Parliament.
Rich skies.
To demand that the minister responsible for health should show up in Parliament
and answer questions
answer questions regarding this particular matter, because it's a very, very serious
now
situation.
That you have exposed what you do and when the person does it is guy that's doing
no, but you see,
but he's a guardian.
Yeah, it's part of the public, that we have to do.
The minister for health must be summoned to answer an urgent
question on this matter,
on the state of vaccines in the country.
Exactly, because as we heard from the technocrat himself, he told us that this is the first time in a very long time. He doesn't even remember the last time a thing like this happened.
It doesn't happen. We've
exactly.
been doing very well with vaccination.
We now see that the economic situation is even impacting the availability of vaccines. And
but the long term, even the air you breathe has been affected.
Exactly. You see, so
the air you are wearing a mask. The economy air affects.
You see, food,
fuel, fertilizer, fish, vaccine, air, water.
Tamale doesn't have oxygen, so you're adding the air.
Yes. So you see, it's a serious matter, and to the extent that a lot of our members of Parliament listen to us,
you think that they should
immediately, in fact, by the time they get into their offices this morning,
they
should be drafting a statement, because the rules allow a member of Parliament to make a statement dealing with
to bring
public
clarity to the matter.
Exactly. In which case there will be an assurance.
But even though it's a good thing you're doing, most of what the minister will say is what the GHS has said, because you obviously the people in charge of what he's supposed to answer is the man we spoke to.
Let me give you the
so
difference.
He'll probably give him a briefing and say this is the situation.
Okay, so let me tell you the difference. The difference is the director can get away with whatever he tells you on radio.
But in Parliament you can't.
But in Parliament, when you make a commitment, like 3 weeks time, vaccines will be available.
Someone in 3
the
weeks.
Government Assurances Committee can take on the minister where he fails to perform his
Wonderful.
duty.
All right. So there's a parliamentary way out of the whole caboodle. 8:40. Let's jump into our next interview with Kwabena Agyepong. Kwabena Agyepong's a presidential hopeful of the MPP. Before that, Vodafone Business presents Too Much Business, the #1 mobile plan for businesses in Ghana today. With Vodafone Too Much Business, you have the best mobile plan on the market that gives your business the best value. That means you have the flexibility to choose voice, data, and SMS packages that suit your business's size and ambitions. Get more minutes for Vodafone calls, and more data, and to do more SMS as well. Experience free calls among your employees and roll over unused data. Call 0507 779 000 or email vodafonebusiness.gh@vodafone.com. Vodafone, further together. And if you're planning your next adventure, remember, it's not just the destination, it's about how you get there. One of the best bits about holidays is the food, right? Now, wouldn't it be great if you could get a taste of your destination before you actually arrived? On Emirates, you get to dine on gourmet meals inspired by regional cuisine, and what better way to toast the start of your holiday than with your choice of free-flowing drinks. So wherever you decide to fly better on Emirates. Go to Emirates.com, because you get so much more on Emirates Economy. And if you're looking for insights from data for decision making, join the data analytics revolution and empower your team to work smart, save time, and deliver insights from data using the world's most powerful business tools, including Microsoft Excel and Power BI. Finance Skills Hub offers hands-on practical training to corporate and individuals in Excel for work, data analytics, financial modeling, and to help improve productivity at the office. Go to finexskillshub.com or call 0244 782 356. That's 0244 782 356. Finance Skills Hub, learn, connect, grow. All right, so we want to jump straight into the big interview for the day. Kwabena Agyepong, former press secretary to President John Agyekum Kufuor, former general secretary, New Patriotic Party, also the former executive director, Ghana Institution of Engineering. What else can I say? Lifelong Kotoko fan. Also, what do you call it?
Juniors of Adabraka.
I'm trying to put the credentials together.
Very key.
Old
Since we're at Adabraka.
Old student of Infanticum School, a former student of Tech, Independence Hall. What else, Godfred? Have I missed anything? Boxing fan, lifelong commentator. He was a commentator. We heard him on sports, a lot of sports programs. Great analysis on TV. And a nice man, actually. He's joined us this morning. He's on a campaign trail to be flag bearer of the governing New Patriotic Party, and we're happy to have him for a few moments. Good morning, Kwabena. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Bernard. I don't know how to describe it, but...
yeah. I know. Because I don't know how to say it, because the interview I was supposed to do with you,
that's right.
That was the night where I lost my wife. So I'm sure it fills you with a lot of emotion to come here. At the time when I called you and all that was going on and all of that. So we thank God we are both still alive.
That's right.
To still live to fight another day.
I thank God for your life, and you know, it brings me a flood of memories of what I've been through myself.
Yes.
So I know we can't talk about it. We just pray to God for mental strength and fortitude and emotional intelligence and all that.
We could actually start from there, because I feel like death helps you eventually if you survive it. There's a certain toughness it brings. And when I look at you and some of the things, because I've sort of watched you when you are interviewed about what happened to your dad, and I think you've evolved as well, because you've sort of packed it in a good place.
Yeah, that's.
I'm sure maybe 20 years ago it must have been tougher.
When you're younger, it's obviously tougher. But as you grow and you mature, you begin, especially you try to douse yourself in divinity and pray to God and have the emotional strength and fortitude to deal with it. Because I quite remember entering the studio that night and you called me and said, "Oh, Kwabena, there's been a little emergency." And I knew it was a little emergency. We're all praying that, but to get what happened, there's only God who decides.
Yes.
So when I was coming in, I was feeling a bit emotional.
I know.
I didn't know how to start it.
No, it's good. It's fine. I'm much better. The prayers and the help of people have strengthened me. But it's been 6 months or so. How have you been? Because I've seen you around. I've seen your billboards. How have you been?
Yeah, that was the night I was going to declare on your set that you were going to get the first declaration. So your colleague actually took it. You know, it's been a good 6 months. Had the opportunity to tell my side of story, because we all know what happened in 2015. With the illegitimate and unfortunate suspension from office as General Secretary. And I chose not to speak at the time, not because I endorsed what happened, but all because of my love for this party. And I knew we had done all the groundwork with our internal arrangements, successful presidential primaries, successful parliamentary primaries. By the time I was being chucked out of office, we had barely 5 or so constituencies to deal with. And I didn't want to cause any disturbance. I issued a public statement answering all the official reasons why I was being put on indefinite suspension, which is not known by our constitution. There's no provision there for indefinite suspension of a chairman or a general secretary. But the fact that there was a lack of adherence to our party protocols and the constitution, that's what hurt. But at the end of the day, if you have the strength and you love your party, you go through it. It's what hurt me was the dirty propaganda, the vile things that were said about me that clearly were not true. This gives me the opportunity to speak to the party people who love me, and they had voted for me massively and trust me. And so I had to go around and explain to them what had happened. And I didn't want to endanger our chances of winning 2016. If I'd gone around this way in 2016, that could have put our victory in some jeopardy. So I just felt, look, let me take a back seat. Time, they say, vindicates people and everything.
But has the party made, I don't want to use the word restitution, but has... I know that, for example, there were certain things that were done that were reversed, but I just want to know legally whether they've corrected what you consider to be a violation of your rights.
Well, I wouldn't say entirely so, because when you're a general secretary, you're a full-time employee of the party. You are not expected to do anything. You're supposed to devote 24 hours of your time to the party, and therefore you are supposed to be given remuneration. When I talk like this, sometimes the headlines start running. They talk about the fact that I hadn't received any remuneration from the party for the 4 years.
Wow.
Not even my pension contributions. So there's a big hole of 4 years between 2014 and 2018 in my pension.
Wow.
And I wrote to the party in 2018 when the mandate expired, especially after the Koforidua Congress. I wrote to Chairman Blair and said, Mr. Chairman, I mean, I cannot be on suspension from a position that I do not occupy. Somebody is now the General Secretary. So it's only right and fair that my suspension was tied to my office. That mandate has expired. But till today, I haven't received a response. And I don't want to burden the new executives with something that they were not privy to. Unless maybe within the handing over notes of the previous administration, perhaps they had left something in there for the new administration to deal with. So since they took over, I have not asked any questions.
But do you not think these things need to be done to even clear the way for you to... I mean, I'm not sure what the Constitution says, but if somebody has been suspended from a position like this, is that not a blot in a sense that could even debar
that doesn't. I mean, the letter they wrote to me, I was suspended from my position. I'm still a member. I've continued to pay my dues. Sammy Crab, who was also suspended alongside me, he contested for the chairmanship of the party this past election. So I think that shouldn't be an issue at all. What is important is that there are certain personal things that I left in my office, which I've never understood why they've kept all my personal belongings and all my personal files and stuff. Because when you walk out of your office and you are not allowed to get back to that office just to even pick up your personal belongings, I think that is not fair treatment. And I tried several times to ask my PA, put these things in a box and let me have my things back, my paintings, my personal stuff. I don't know where they are. But I'm not prepared to make an issue out of it. It's in the past. If they'll be civil enough to let me have it, I'll be grateful. If the new chairman will look at the Constitution, which mandates him to determine the remuneration of a general secretary, and he can backdate that and make sure I get my 4 years entitlement as general secretary, I'll be grateful. But I'm not making any...
How does this affect your message when you meet delegates? What is the perception of delegates about what happened between 2015 and 2018?
I think they are shocked at how I have been treated, and I have the opportunity to go into more details than I do when I'm with you here in the studio, because we don't have the time. And of course, I normally do what I call a town hall, an open forum. So I make a few initial remarks and we go into a Q&A session. And that provides me the opportunity to answer all the questions that are agitating the minds of our party people, because they know that Kwabena Agyepong, since 1991, even as a kid, has given my youth in service to this party, long dedicated service when times were tough. I mean, in 1992, to be on national television, to be the face and voice of Professor Edubuahin's campaign, working as a public servant with Ghana Highway Authority, if you don't have the courage or the spirit of sacrifice for this tradition, you will not take that risk. So they know what I've been able to achieve in this party. Served President Kufuor's press secretary for close to 6 years, impeccably, and nobody could pick a speck of dirt during my time as press secretary. When you are press secretary, you are privy to very delicate information, local and international. And if my integrity was not called into question, I don't know how I can become general secretary of my party. And people can plan and orchestrate lies and propaganda about my faithfulness to my tradition and seek to create the impression that I was working against the interests of our presidential candidate, someone that I played a major role in his first presidential bid in 1998, when those who are around now trying to claim him were around, but they didn't have faith in him. And some of us took a risk for him when he needed us most, because it's when you are struggling that you need support, not when you are on top. So it's provided me a good opportunity to tell my side of the story. There are a lot of people who've been asking, Kwabena, why have you taken so long? I said, it doesn't matter. Sometimes you need that the scales have to fall off. At that time, despite the fact that I issued a formal statement debunking all the claims that were made against me, it didn't get any ventilation from the media, and I just took it easy.
Where and when did the dream to be president come from? And how long has it been there?
Oh, it's been there for a long time. I mean, when you work as closely as I did with President J. Kufuor, I learned a lot from his style and his magnanimity, because, mind you, I didn't support him in the primaries in Sunyani. And for him to accept the fact that I was one of the leading campaigners for Nana Akufo-Addo at the time to unseat him, for him to be magnanimous enough to allow me into his campaign in a big way. I was, in those days, I was no director of communications. I would say I was de facto director of communications in the lead up to the 2000 elections, working with campaign manager Jacob Echibilamte. So I was the one who had the privilege of putting through the phone call to him at night, informing him, Mr. Kufuor, that you have been elected as President of the Republic. And for him later on to appoint me as press secretary for close to 6 years. And as press secretary, you are with the president almost 24/7. And you have very quiet moments with him alone in the office, and a lot of things are said that you have to die with. That's right. So at the time, I just felt that perhaps I have the dream, I have the passion for this country. I've always felt that we need public-spirited individuals who are prepared to do something for everybody else, who are prepared to deny themselves. And my political career has been anchored on what I call the triple S. Service, which means you should be prepared to serve, which I think I have done from 1991 to today. And to also sacrifice when times are tough, even in difficult times. You are prepared to risk your professional career, your life, especially during a military dictatorship, to say you want to serve your party for nothing. And then being selfless. Being selfless means looking for the interests of others. And I think I'm imbued with those qualities, perhaps because of what I've been through as a human being, losing my dad very early and going through the difficulties and the troubles and surviving now. I realize that I have empathy, because I know it when somebody says he doesn't know where to sleep tonight, because I've felt that before. When you don't know where your next meal is coming from, because I have felt that before. So... and I have a very multi-layered life,
which we don't deny in terms of your experience, engineering, media work, working with the president. Some people, however, feel typically you would need, for example, MP experience. So some of the aspirants would say they've run for parliamentary office, or they've managed a ministry.
Yeah.
How does your experience compare with that? Do you feel it's an advantage or disadvantage? So if somebody says, for example, you haven't contested in an election outside your party before, so that's a disadvantage for you, what would you say?
It's not a disadvantage at all. There's no bigger election in our party than that for a general secretary in our party. If you contest for an MP, it's in just one of the 275 constituencies. And especially in some of our safe seats, all you need is to win the primary, and that's it, you become an MP. Winning the confidence of the 6,000 plus delegates, going around 275 constituencies and selling your message, especially defeating a formidable general secretary like Sir John in my hospital bed in 37, just goes to show you how deep-rooted I am in this political party. Working as press secretary to the president, I mean, you are not the president, and that's a fact. You are not running a ministry, that's a fact. but you get the kinds of insights that nobody has. Very few people have those insights. I've been to 2 G8 summits. I don't think ministers, apart from the foreign minister at the time, would have been to G8 summits and sit with the top 8 leaders around the world, around the same table, whether it was in Gleneagle, Scotland, or it was in Savannah, Georgia, when Bush hosted it. Been to several African Union meetings. And so when you serve at the presidency, you know how the government runs. So I think that, yes, I would have wished to have that experience, run your own ministry, but I don't consider that a shortfall. There have been many presidents like Professor Mills who have never run, any ministry or run for MPs, and President Liman and all that. So I don't think that's...
What about the question of a base? Because one of the ways in which these elected officers solidify a person is to give them, whether it's a regional base, whether it's some type of constituency.
I'm a national politician because, as you said, I became a national character before politics because I hosted sports highlights at a time when GBC was the only media outlet in Ghana. So I became, I would say, in all humility, a celebrity like you very early at 25 years.
You were 25?
It was when
you started?
Yes, when I was hosting sports highlights in Ghana in the mid-80s, right through the early 90s, and then being there the first time that we were watching the World Cup live in 1990 as the panelist. And that one of the innovations I introduced to broadcasting, at the time. And so I think that I'm a national figure. I'm a very detribalized person. I was born in Kumasi, schooled at Royal International School, primary school. Went to Mfansipim for 7 good years. And then I've stayed in Accra. So, for me, it doesn't matter where you come from in this country. I think anybody who tries to organize politics around tribe, religion, and even worse still, money, should be discouraged and debunked. You understand? So for me, I am a very detribalized Ghanaian, and I think we Ghanaians should be very happy that we have been fated to be within these borders. It doesn't matter where we come from. And especially as the MPP, that's why we are called the United Party. If you look at the amount of institutions, political institutions that came together, the Northern People's Party, the Anlo Youth Congress, the Gashimofupe, the Fantis along the coast, and then the National Liberation Movement from Bafuakuto in the Middle Belt. This is a truly national party. So however hard some of our opponents try to pigeonhole us as a small Ashanti party or maybe a larger Akan party, they would fail. And I think new politicians, new generation politicians like myself, we should try and discourage the politics of tribe, politics of religion, politics of money. And let's talk about politics of principle. Right now where we are as a country, what we need are thinking leaders. Leaders who have deep in thought, intellectual capacity, and character, both private and public. And that is what I've done to submit myself
I take your point
scrutiny.
Absolutely. Yeah. The point about the concept of a base was not in the sense of owning a tribe or a region. It was more to do with having a certain grassroots support that you bring to the table into a contest.
That's right.
So I completely agree with you when you talk about we don't need to slice and dice on the basis of region or tribe or religion or money, which is clear. But you are in a contest with at least now about 8 or 9 people.
Yeah.
And I'm sure some would say to the delegates that, look, if you put me on the ticket, this is the group of people who have promised support for me, or this is how my candidature can influence. I mean, that's why we do North-South tickets. That's why we do different religion tickets, not just in Ghana. The reality is that even in Nigeria, in this election, the whole thing is being defined by where the person comes from. People see, even in the US, there's the red gash in the middle, the blue on the coast.
That's right.
People vote on the basis of how they perceive the candidate. So that's the question back to you that...
I don't want to make that a strength of mine. But, I mean, apart from being a former general secretary, and therefore I'm deep-rooted within this party, and I have people, especially right from the beginnings of our party in 1991, 1992, I've worked with most of them, and they know me and they trust me. So the party, I'm very deep and strong in. I would say that, yes, you come from a Shanti region, doesn't matter. For me, it's the biggest 47 constituencies. They recognize me as one of their children or sons or whatever. But I've also worked a lot in Greater Accra because this is where I've voted, and a lot of my activism has been here. And
your football team is here.
It's in Adabraka where we are. Again, when I talk about multifaceted, because I like sports and all that, so I have a juvenile team for the last 25 years. And the current national goalkeeper, Lawrence Atizigi, is a product of Argentinos Juniors, which I named after Maradona because of my affection for the one who I believe was the greatest ever footballer that ever.
We can have that debate
and never end it. So I think I'm well positioned. I've worked as a civil servant in Ghana Highway Authority, then left to set up my private consultancy firm, worked as a contractor. So I know how it is when you have to go and borrow money, not even from the bank, from a loan shark who give it to you at 5% a month or 10% a month. And I know when you are running a consulting firm and you haven't had a business for maybe 8 months and you have to pay your core workers. So that gives me that steel. You understand? I've been worked in government too as press secretary to the president. I've been general secretary of the party, so I know the party very well. I know the aspirations of the party people. And during our time, we tried to strengthen the 275 constituencies, making sure that all of them had accounts opened. And so therefore, when we needed to resource them by the press of a button at the party headquarters through our bankers, all of them could be resourced at the same time. So they know.
But is the flag bearership contest a meritocratic race? And let me explain that. These are delegates who many people feel represent their own interests. So it's not... Okay, let's rephrase the question. What do we really know what the delegates want? Because you are talking about thinkers. You're talking about your national appeal. You're talking about your track record. A lot of people feel that delegates, not just of MPP, delegates see primaries as their cocoa season. And they are not really as interested in some of the things you're saying as you may think. And that they may...
If that's the case, Bernard, then only the rich people win elections in our party.
Those who have money backing them, not necessarily rich people.
Yeah, those who have money backing them.
But has that not been the case?
That has not been the case. It has never been the case. In 1992, Adubo, by no stretch of anybody's imagination, was the most resourceful.
Compared to
Safodu, where all the young people, the young executive from the business people were supporting Kwame Safodu. He won because...
But Adubo had a platform because he was the voice of the whole breaking the silence.
Yes, so
he was the main guy we all heard at Legon talking. So he was emblematic of the... breaking the culture of silence. Edu Buahin was the man we all saw.
So I just want you to understand that I have trust in the delegates of this party. They've done it before in Tamale, even in my absence in my hospital bed. When I was not there to do the campaigning on the ground or whatever you talk about, if people pay monies or not. I won massively whilst I was still in 37 military hospital. You remember when I was going to Tamale, I had the near fatal accident in Nsawam. So I have confidence in this. The delegate system, again, I want to explain to if some of them are listening to me. You are not there for yourself. So if you think that you're going to make it a cocoa season, that money that you get, the meaning of a delegate is, if you look at the dictionary, delegation of responsibility. You represent a certain amount of people in your catchment area. Are you going to share those monies with them? And in any case, how much money can anybody give you? Divide that by 365 days and divide it by a further 4 years, and you see that it is nothing. So you cannot mortgage your future, your birthright, which is to decide something that means to you, something to you, your conscience, something that will secure the future of our country. And what we are experiencing now, this is going to be a watershed election. No party has won a third consecutive election. So it's always going to be tough anyway. Right now, the leader that we require is someone who can earn the trust of the Ghanaian people. In spite of all the difficulties, they can look you in the eye and say you are a pair of clean hands that we can work with. You have the least amount of questions to answer. And that's the kind of candidate they know, and it's beginning to hit on the delegates. Who would they place as our best foot forward as a party? And I do believe when you look at all things being said and done, and you put it on a weighing scale, KAA
so are you saying
will
that
resonate very positively.
In a sense of where the Ghanaian mood is, you need a truly MPP person, but not necessarily somebody who's deeply embedded in this administration, for example. Because there are difficulties that many people will blame this administration for. So if you're a delegate thinking about who to represent the MPP in 2024, you are saying you need to play a balancing act between being representative of the party, but also being able to bring something new.
And that's why
it's a very difficult line to draw, right?
Well, it is, but that's why my campaign is premised on the new dawn, the creation of a new dawn. When I talk about a new dawn, a new dimension, a new direction on the Ghana's political landscape, led by the politicians. It's not the politicians alone, because today you've been speaking to the Director of Medical Services. I've heard all
Ghana
the
Health
things.
Service.
Ghana Health Service, my good friend Dr. Abuaje. And then, whether you're a doctor or a nurse or a banker or a farmer, all of us have a role to play. And I think it is our Ghanaianness that is disappearing. Our value system, in my view, which has collapsed. And we have been gripped by a sense of materialism that I do not understand. This is not what we were made of when we were kids, We were proud of our professionalism or our knowledge and intellectual capacity. We were not defined by the amount of money that we had. And that is something that is a culture. And that's why I want to make this an issues-based campaign. And I want to use this candidature to let Ghanaians know. Now, you don't need to be very rich to be very happy. I'm a very happy person, despite all the difficulties and the trauma that I've suffered in my life. And that spirit of contentment, I want every young person to have that. Now, you may meet challenges in life, but you can always scale it. If you have belief in yourself, if you have clean intentions, noble intentions, do it and serve your country. There's beauty and a sense of fulfillment in serving your country. I'm not saying this because I want to be elected flag bearer and eventually president of the country. I have been press secretary to the president, the rank of a minister. I could have also taken advantage and done all the things that people talk about politicians do. I didn't add on to my real estate. I didn't go chasing after government plots and that kind of thing. I was there to serve. I meant to serve. And I want to be an example to the rest of the young people, especially the young ones in the TESCON or the TAIN, which is the NDC wing. When you talk to some of them, they have become so individualistic, Ben, in their outlook. Oh, I'm looking for a scholarship. I'm looking for a good placement in national. So it's not all about what we will get out of the system. We should think about what we can do for the Ghanaian people.
Could not that be a consequence of the fact that our politics itself has deteriorated, quality of leadership across board has come down, quality of the message has been reduced, and even the purity of the positions of the parties? Again, when we're in the university, if somebody says it's MPP, there are certain things you expect.
That's right.
But these days it's not very clear. In fact, you have twins who are from different parties. They just decide, want to go here, want to go here. It's almost like it's convenience, right? So some of the things you're describing, are they not a consequence of the times and the fact that there's been a general deterioration in leadership quality in the country?
That is the reason why I'm in this battle. In fact, this is what animates me to be in this battle, to bring this difficult conversation to the fore, so that we can create a new generation, a critical mass of Ghanaians, right-thinking patriots, public-spirited people in our country who are going in there not to go and fill themselves. Because that is what everybody believes now. Because they've seen a few bad examples. Young people who finish university, have never worked before, thrust into big positions, and within a few years they are showing off cars and having lush weddings and all kinds of stuff. When you are a public servant, and when you're a politician, you have to be sensitive to the Ghanaian people. It's not everything that you should even showcase. And now it's been worsened by the social media. And the kinds of things that I see some of my colleagues put on the social media, I'm amazed and I'm surprised. Once you're in political authority, sensitive to the plight of the Ghanaian people, especially now when there's true suffering. We all know the whole world has been a difficult place for the last 3 or so years. As Ghanaians, that is when you have to show sensitivity. So we don't talk about leadership enough. The character of the leaders that we need. It's not about money. It's not about throwing money or sharing rice or sharing sugar. So I think it's disrespectful, to the Ghanaian people when people engage in that. And I'm going to stand by what I believe in. Believing propriety, doing things right.
Would it be easier to get better leaders if we expanded the electoral college for primaries, not just for even the MPP? Because I recall NDC tried to do this in the 2016 election.
It's just...
And some of the people in NDC I talked to, they partly blame their 2016 defeat to that, because they feel like, this is the explanation they give me, the delegates who usually help during the elections felt disempowered by the expanded electoral college, and so they stayed away. This is their logic, okay? Now, this is an NDC situation. I'm just coming back to NPP. So, if NPP for example, let's assume we have 50 million voters, and let's assume we have 4 million card-carrying members of NPP. Would that not reduce the role of money if you said every card-carrying member of NPP should vote for their presidential candidate? That already establishes a 4 million base. Instead of using this 6,000, 20,000 people. And it's because I can come 5,000 people if I have enough money, but I can't come 4 million people.
That's correct.
So what are your thoughts around that?
So my thoughts are that we are progressively getting there. I know we started with just 2,000 delegates, 3,000 in 2007 when I was the youngest of the 17 aspirants. And now because of that, exactly what you have said, to minimize the monetization of the electoral process, we have increased it now. So with the presidential election, apart from the super delegates, which is just a way of pruning down the numbers to 5, we would have to deal with 200,000 delegates. I don't think you can come 200,000 delegates, or you can bribe 200,000 people. So that's
a big number.
That's a big number. So that's why this MPP is a well-structured political institution, because you're having the 5 core executives at every polling station, 39,000 plus polling stations, deciding who their leader is. Okay, so at least it's a better representation of the 4 million people than the 6,000. Okay, but I'm sure eventually, as we grow as a country, as we mature, because organizing elections too can be very expensive. I quite remember as General Secretary, I decided to work with the Electoral Commission fully. So I put them in total charge of our polling stations, and then they ran it as a national election. To do so for 5 million people and to do so in 38 or 39,000 polling stations is more difficult than running it in 275 constituency centers. You understand? That is logistically easier and easier to attain or accomplish than running an internal party primary in 39,000 or close to 40,000.
Although that would be good rehearsal for the main election. So we start early. Right. We're talking to Kwabena Agyepong, former press secretary to the president of Ghana, and Ndaje Kufuor, former general secretary for MPP, executive director between 2018, I think it's up to 2020, right?
Up to 2021.
Yes.
End of 2021.
Yeah. And I've heard some of your colleagues say we need an engineer to be president. I've heard people say that China has more engineers in politics. I'm sure Godfred will admit to this. Than in most countries, and they feel like developing countries, they need engineers.
Well, the Chinese have shown the way. Over 70% of their central committee are made up of engineers. And if you look at the technological advancement that we've seen over the last 20 years, maybe it supports that claim. And unfortunately, in Ghana, we've not had...
I don't even know if you have enough engineers in politics, in government. I don't even know if we went to do it. If you pick the ministers who've been in MPP or even NDC, and you do a survey, I'm sure you have more lawyers, more former teachers.
That's right.
Possibly.
Those from the humanities.
Yes.
They dominate vastly.
Over almost 60-70%.
Yeah, vastly. Because
why do they outnumber you guys? Is that you're not many, or you are not interested in politics?
Engineers are very, I would say we are meticulous. We are very focused on our work. And, in school, I quite remember Professor Levine, he was an Israeli professor, when he's walking to the academic side at Tech, and he sees you even playing football. The next morning, you put an interim assessment. Quick. So they were discouraging engineering students from engaging in extracurricular activities. So, engineering students were said to be boring, that we don't dress well, and we don't speak well. So it's something that we've been trying to wean off ourselves. And
the Tech people say, you do. They say the people who do social science are not serious, but the people who do engineering are the serious ones.
So, I mean, that has been a cultural thing, but I do believe that we bring a lot to the table as engineers, because what we conceive, we have to design and then build. We don't make our money out of talking. And then when you are building infrastructure, you have to do all the redundancies, make sure the safety factor is good, there's strong, tight confidence interval, because when there's a fatality with engineering structures, it can die. It's a lot of people, it's not just one person.
Engineers are thinkers and doers. Not just talkers.
No. We want to act, we are results-oriented, we are outcome-based, because that's why I'm more interested in the outcomes of policies than just saying, we have done this. No. What you have done? What has been the impact on society? That's what I want to...
There are two big questions for you I want to bring. The first one has to do with what is seen as an elite consensus within the MPP to make the current vice president the candidate. And the background to this is obviously the 17. In your time, Aliu Muhammad did not get it. There was a whole feeling, indeed, that somehow the running mate or the vice president must be given almost like the first right of refusal. That's not democratic, but that's the feeling. And the fact that Aliu Muhammad did not get it, a lot of people feel that they have to give Dr. Bawumia the slot to dispel the view that the MPP uses and dumps Northerners. And this has formed some elite consensus that the leadership of the party generally, and I'm not talking about executives, I'm just talking about the people in the party who are the people. They want Bawumia to win.
Bernard,
and I'm sure you've heard this before.
Bernard, if you want to be used and dumped as number 2, I think everybody would love to be used and dumped that way. I mean, I've said this before. I mean, let's be honest. Let's be honest to the facts.
Mm-hmm.
The party has a constitution. We have rules and regulations. You can't even get on the ticket if you have not demonstrated a membership of 5 years. The party took a decision. Ninto was the general secretary, to waive that, create a card for him, and straight on that day you become number 2. It's never happened anywhere because of the respect that we have for the candidate Akufo-Addo. I was part of the National Council meeting that took that decision. You understand? So if you've been done such a big favor, a big waiver, the biggest waiver that's ever seen in this our party, and you've served as vice president, number 2 in the country, and you consider that using and dumping, I think that is... I think
I'm not sure it's him who will say this,
no,
but
whoever says that, they should stop that kind of talk. I don't want to hear that.
But he delivered, he did not, because he was also the major arrowhead for the message of the party, particularly in 2016, the lectures on the economy, the clarity with which it described the failures of the government. You cannot talk about.
I'm not going to discuss.
You cannot talk about the. And sorry, I'm not making this about. I'm just giving an example. You cannot talk about the privilege of being vice president without talking about the work that was done by the vice presidential candidate as well. So it's almost like he earned it.
But that's what you're supposed to do as vice president. You are part of the ticket. It's your work. It's your duty and your responsibility. It's not a bonus. There's nothing extra. I mean, those of us who were, even me on suspension at the time, I mobilized resources, supported close to 100 constituencies around the country. That is the kind of dedication I have for this tradition. So I think it comes with the work. And nobody is denying him his chance to contest. Nobody has said that. Just that we in our MPP, we have a way of doing things. He's just going to go around and talk to the party people and hope that he wins the ballot. But to try and force a coronation on us, that won't happen. There would be no coronation in this MPP.
But what about about the perception from Ghanaians if he loses?
What perception?
That for some reason, again, this is not.
It's all part of the NDC propaganda.
This is not NDC.
I've heard former President Mahama say it, that they're going to use his brother, the Northerner, and dump him. And I think it was a very unfortunate statement coming from someone who's been president. And as I said, we should not organize around tribe in this country. It's despicable, and I want to speak against it.
So even if people believe that?
Well, I think the majority does not believe that.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. I don't think so at all. You understand? Aliu Mahama served this party right from the get-go. From a Dubois in his time, because I quite remember as young people, he would send us to him. You understand? So it is for anybody who is interested in aspiring to this office to do what is expected of him. Hit the debt. I mean, he is fortunate. I mean, he's going to go around and he has a convoy. He doesn't have to buy his own fuel. I have to do that.
He can't put up a billboard, but you can. For now, he can't because it's almost like he's cap-tied.
No, he's not cap-tied.
Like he's
he's had an unfair advantage. I've said
can you explain that?
The tools, I would say the two that the media is trying to present as the only candidates. I mean, the media is virtually being cultured to present this as a two-horse race. It's very far from that. You understand? Bawumia is number 2, virtue of the fact that he is vice president, politically. Alan Shemating has been number 2 to Nana Addo for the last 3 elections. So electorally, he's also number 2.
So the media is putting the 2 number 2s together.
Yeah, so I think they are there by default because I don't know what they should tell the Ghanaian people what they stand for. I've gone around expressing my views on the new dawn, and so and I'm explaining to them what I stand for, what I'll bring to the table, like imposing order and discipline in our country, ensuring that there's a drastic penalty regime for those who tinker with our national treasury, and having the political will, being decisive, having the vitality to drive the change that I think Ghanaians deserve and the country where we should be heading towards. That has been my platform. I maybe you should call them and ask them these difficult questions too. And I encourage all my other contestants to submit themselves, to be humble enough, so that their career, their record in government and everything will be examined. That is what leaders are for. That's what leadership is about. To be able to be open about your life and to be asked difficult questions.
But there are polls that are also showing this. It's not just the media. I've read a couple of polls that have shown Dr. Bawumia and Alan as the front runners. A couple have mentioned Kwabena Agyepong as well.
I'm saying that
so it's not just a media creation.
I'm saying that it is. I don't know where these polls are coming from, but what is important is I've been around politics from a Dubois.
But have you done your own polls?
Look.
Or do you? Because I do know you.
I know the heartbeat of Ghanaians. I know the heartbeat of our party. I've been around long enough. Okay, so I'm not going to put so much credibility on any poll. When I've finished going around the country, my first round, I've now done about 5 regions. Then after that, there is a poll. Then I can give a little credence to it because I haven't been around. I've been under the table for 8 years. So even the fact that my name is being mentioned now shows that I've made a lot of progress. These are people who have had visibility for the last 7 years as vice president and ministers. So they've had an unfair advantage. You understand? But that is fine. I mean, it's part of politics. So they have that advantage. But I want the whole country and the MPP delegates to understand that what we do as a party is to allow the delegates to make a choice of their own. The power is in their bosom. And if you need it, go there, talk to them. And I'm very confident that they will invest political authority in Kwabena Agyepong come the elections.
The final point has to do with the record of this government. Again, we haven't done a poll, but generally everybody would say that this has been one of the most difficult times we've had as a country. And we can't simply blame global crisis for this, because I was looking through recent growth numbers for even African countries. Togo, Guinea, Cote d'Ivoire, they are all going to do much better than Ghana in the coming year. So yes, we blame COVID, we blame the Russia-Ukraine war, but we know that's not true. The fact is that there was, at some point, we mismanaged the economy. So that's an albatross you have to deal with.
That's correct.
So how are you going to, what's your economic plan? Let's deal with economics. What's your economic plan? This is to Ghanaians now. Yeah. Let's assume the MPP delegates, we decide whatever. Ghanaians are listening. Yesterday, NDC opened their nomination. So Ghanaians want to understand what Kwabena Agyepong thinks about the economy and how he hopes to revive it.
I think first and foremost, we've been running a deficit budget for as long as we can think about. And I am a firm believer in the fact that you should never spend what you haven't earned. You should live within your means. As they say, cut your coat according to the size of cloth that you have. Budget after budget, government after government tends to do things that is beyond us. We have to be frank and honest and deal with that, which means revenue is difficult to estimate, but at least expenditure you can control. And how best to start it? By cutting down on yourself. I think the cost of running Ghana government is too big. And I've said this a long time ago. I think it's become a bit more fashionable now for other people to say it. But as far back as 2015, when I was General Secretary, I had an interview on hot issues on TV3, a sister station, and I said that the framers of the Constitution did not put in the 19 limit for cabinet ministers for nothing. They were giving us an idea of the size of government. And President Kwabena Agyepong would not exceed 19. I do think that all heads of ministries should be cabinet ministers. And that's why if you look at the constitution, it talks about the president and his cabinet, because the cabinet is the advisory body that works with the president.
So this idea of having more ministers at 19 and then limiting 19 to cabinet,
I don't agree with that. And I've said so. A lot of the ministries have to be consolidated, to reduce the numbers. And some of them, I think, should not exist in the first place. Parliamentary affairs, public sector reform, even chieftaincy used to be a secretariat at the presidency and all that. So I think youth and sports, the natural home is education, because that's where they do a lot of sports and that's where the youth is. Transport should have aviation and what have you, railways.
All within that?
All within transport. I think you can isolate only roads and highways because of its central role in a developing country.
You did your service at highways.
That's right. So I have a little bias there. Aquaculture and fisheries should be under agriculture. It should be a department.
So you can have 19. So your first major issue is government lives within its means. Cut your quota according to your size.
And then there should be one deputy. So
no two deputies.
So if you have that, the president has one vice president. So 38 ministers. And if you add the 16 regional ministers, then you have 54. And I think that's it. That you can work with that. It's not a quantum of money that you save, although you save a lot, because all these ministries, you have to put up civil service machinery that has to back them and all that. But it's the strong moral message you are sending to the Ghanaian people that you are tightening your belt. It's not about job for the boys. You are serious about what you're doing. Again, you go to the local government. I don't know what thinking process has brought us right from 110 districts at the beginning of the Fourth Republic to 260 something. Yeah. I think it's atrocious. I don't know this. And coming from someone who has reasonable experience in the built environment, because most of the services that we need are engineering-based: housing, roads, sanitation, water, energy, And in Accra, for instance, now we have a chaotic balkanization.
Meanwhile, AM is smaller, less effective.
We used to have Accra Tema metropolitan area. And when you happen to manage engineering functions, you've got to do it from a basement, catchment-wise, basin-wide attitude and a holistic view, a global attitude to be able to deal with that. And when you apportion it in small areas, and you have some DCs or MCs who are very jealous of their turf, the management of the engineering functions become very difficult. And that's what we see with procurements and other things. So that is an area I would like to sit with the stakeholders to see how we can reverse that.
So effective local government using a built environment structured approach is something you're going to focus on.
Very much so. I mean, in Ghana, I think we have substituted planning permission for building permission. Nobody hears about planning permission anymore. But an area should be declared a planned area, schemed out properly, and all the elements of the ecosystem and environment to protect the greenery and everything that goes into proper human settlement planning.
The kind of message you have seems to be something that middle classes would like. My recent example, and I was talking to Henry Quarter about this, was that, and he did confirm that he didn't feel as if the middle class who claimed they wanted order in society, who claimed they believe in the kinds of things he was doing, they didn't actually really support him in his period of silence. So so you've spoken about built environment, spoken about cutting. A lot of the civil society groups, a lot of the people would agree that this was needs to be done. But there are people who must support this type of thing because there's always tension. There are people who do not believe in what you're saying and they'll fight it. So you need people to support you.
That's correct.
Do you feel the Ghanaian middle class have, and this is across parties, will they support that type of, in a democracy which is fueled by many things other than reason, in my view?
That's right. And that's why there should be constant engagement, consultations and engagement. And I think what we miss out as a government this time, that we haven't done adequate consultations on a lot of the programs that have created problems, the e-levy or even the debt exchange. You don't take a unilateral decision. And then when there's a backlash, that's when you go around and say you're doing town hall meetings. Those things have to be schemed out properly. That's why I talk about outcomes. Whatever policy that you're going to follow, you've got to be able to do a predictive model and be able to establish what your likely outcome is. That's what we do as engineers. And then give yourself a very tight confidence interval, plus or minus that. You can deviate, but not by much. So it is important that whatever economic model that we pursue, and Ghana has pursued a lot, right? ERP, Economic Recovery Program 1, SAP, FinSAP, and all that. It's not about the programs itself. It's about the lack of enforcement of regulations, the lack of proper management of these programs, and then procurement, lack of money, a lack of value for money. In Ghana, every major initiative becomes a procurement opportunity for some. So, and these are things I want to look at. Apart from cutting down the size of government, making sure that value for money for Ghana is something that is dear to our heart. If you look at the recent reports of the Auditor General, it lays bare. It's not only down to the politicians sometimes. I mean, they are the ones, they have become the whipping boys, but the state establishment itself, the state institutions, you can have people who work in ministries who set up their own companies and then allocating jobs to themselves. You can have headmasters or matrons appropriating food for school children to themselves. This kind of behavior has to stop. And we need more public-spirited people in charge of our country. And they want to see the direction coming from the top. And so I would be very firm, decisive, take the difficult decisions when they have to be taken. So
something the MPP currently, the Akufo-Addo government is going to make it difficult for the MPP to get re-elected because of a lot of things. The policies, I don't even have to go through. There's a lot of disaffection for the government because of the policies, particularly the debt exchange, which has wiped out people's incomes, the manner in which they went about some of the things they did. So it's almost like you already said 8 years to go beyond 8 years is already tough enough.
It's tough enough.
But it's already made much tougher by some of the policy choices of this government. Even the posture. For example, people have asked the president to do, or suggested to him to do like a national meeting to discuss the tough economic decisions before the IMF. He doesn't do it. He seems to be committed to what he wants to do, for good or bad. I mean, how is the MPP going to wriggle itself out of this massive...
That is why I'm telling the delegates that it's time for a new generation leader. It's time for them to have a messenger who can win the faith of Ghanaians, to reignite the confidence that people have in the political architecture, in governance in general. And I think that kind of person is me, And so that is for them to make that choice. You understand what I'm trying to say. So it is a very tough ask. Having a third term is difficult, and we are in difficult times. But I always have the confidence that the MPP has the numbers. Especially, if you look at our victories, all the time when we win, we have big margins compared to the NDC, which means that if we have our base well manicured and strong and motivated and enthusiastic, then we give ourselves a chance. So if you have a candidate like KAA, then you enhance those chances, because I have less questions to answer. So those are the things that I'm telling the delegates, and I think it's resonating positively with them. And the Ghanaians are...
Let me read some comments for you. Maybe that will help situate this in good context. So, okay, I will read all, then you come to... Bernard, please ask Kwabena Agyepong what public policy gaps or issues identified as constituting critical problem areas for national development and how you propose to deal with them. I think I tried to do that after this came. This one from Egbers Valley. Hello, Bernard. Extend my greetings to Senior Kwabena Agyepong, and on behalf of my brother Daniel Petigo, who happens to be his friend, our prayers are with him as he embarks on this great objective of leading the MPP. And then this one, Bernard, please tell Kwabena Agyepong we love him. He's a correct guy. I pray he wins. Michael from Achimota. A couple of ones here. I'm listening to Kwabena Agyepong's interview. These are my observations as a communications person. One, we have to look for Kwabena Agyepong. We have to look out for Kwabena Agyepong. He's a good communicator. He knows his history. MPP must brave themselves. He's charismatic, articulate, and I believe he will draw the young, undecided constituents. He makes good impression. He's on the ground, understands the grassroots dynamics. I think going through what MPP put him through has made him more resilient. He will become the NPP underdog, in my view. We have to look at him more carefully. Sky, you didn't tell me the name of the person who sent this text. Maybe the person wants to be anonymous. Okay, but this obviously is somebody from the high echelons of power. Good morning, Bernard. Please tell Kwabena Agyepong he's the best of all them. It's only him or JM that can change Ghana. I love this man. You have to comment on this. He's deep in thought. They say you are JM. Good morning, Kwabena. Kwabena Agyepong is good, I admit. But for MPP to win again, I doubt. With what this nation has been destroyed to, nothing is working. Health, education, finance, employment, youth engagement, housing. Come on. Bernard from Adenta. Good morning, Bernard. Kwabena Agyepong is awesome. I admire him so much in the MPP, but he's in the wrong party. His passion and love for the country out of this world. Jones. Hello, Bernard. Good morning. I really admire Kwabena Agyepong. I look up to be like him, to become a big engineer like him. We need an engineer to be president. In Ghana, Desmond from Amasaman. Good morning, Bernard and team. Please tell Kwabena Agyepong I'm a delegate in Upper Manya Krobo and would like to lead his campaign in the constituency. I'm feeling from myself. Hey, people are moving. A couple more. Bernard, please stay on the engineering issue. We don't talk to make money. We conceptualize, design, and bring to reality. We always show working. This is Ernest, who is an engineer listening. If you had a lot of engineers, you would have. I don't know if you even have 2,000 engineers in Ghana. That's the problem. You know, if you were.
Well, he would have the.
No. How many engineers do you have in Ghana? In good standing.
That's a tough one, but at least at the Ghana Institution of Engineering, we have more than 11,000 registered professional engineers.
Okay, that's not bad. 11,000?
Yes.
If we add the non-registered ones, maybe 15K.
Yeah,
it's not bad.
And then we have our what I call our cousins.
Let me ask my colleagues what they think. So we've been debating this interview as to how to approach it and whether we spent almost an hour discussing how to even do the interview and what to say. So
that's interesting.
Because we felt like the MPP itself hasn't even decided when it's going to do the primaries. We don't even know whether the media is a legitimate part of the because NDC has
but we have a constitution.
We don't know when you are doing your primaries.
No, but the constitution gives us a limit. I don't know why there's an issue about this.
Okay, so educate us.
I mean, the constitution's. I have to check, but I think it's 11 months.
When in power?
I think it's 11 months.
When in power?
11 months or 12 months.
So basically, at least by the end of this year.
Yeah. I mean, so December, I quite remember when I was General Secretary, and I fixed it, that was 2 years. I fixed it at December 6th, 2014. That's when my attacks started, because some people thought I was trying to give Alan Shamatin an opportunity to campaign, because it was, so that's when a lot of the attacks started. But again...
So this argument over the date is real? The fact that people are not sure, because we understand...
they think that when you give Kwabena Agyepong time, I will reach out to the people, and
so
an earlier Congress would work to the advantage of those who are invisible by way of their position they occupy, because people are not testing their message. Nobody has tested the message of these.
I get you. So when we move it further, people like you get the chance to...
I think we should just respect the Constitution.
And the Constitution says when in power, 11 months.
Yes.
So by December this year, there should be preparations.
Yes. Worst case scenario, I think, will be January. I think I have to check whether it's 11 months or 12 months.
No, it's when you in power less than a year. It should not exceed more than 12 months.
Yeah. So I think December 6th, 2020.
Let me go back to something. 2007, we covered the MPP where the 17 were. And some of us in the media were like, these guys, if they would just come together, because I feel at the time, I may be wrong, there was a feeling that Alan was the preferred candidate of Kufuor, and then there were a lot of the others who felt like they needed a change. So I recall when the first round finished, 1 or 2 interviews with you and other people said, there's no way anybody is going to give their support to Alan now, because it's almost like, because we've all lost, we are going to go for Nanado. Now, my question is, we are in a sort of similar but not the same situation where I think about 9 of you have come out. So there's, of course, Alan, there's you, there's Adainimo, there's there's Ejaku, there's the Minister of Agriculture, then there's also Jogate. Yes, 9 is not 17. Yes. But shouldn't you guys be talking? Shouldn't you guys be discussing, particularly with where the party is and where the country is? Or maybe I should reverse the question. Are you people talking?
Well, I think a lot of us are friends, so we talk amongst ourselves. I've had a lot of chat with Dr. Preku, who's my senior, and somebody I've known from Dubois' era. Of course, Alan is like a big brother to me, so once in a while I'll call him, we'll poke a few jokes at each other. Boache was my senior in Infant Supreme School. Jogate is my colleague, we were classmates.
Also Kwabuche.
So I think it's for us to... Sometimes you have to feel it out. It's important. For me, it is important because I have to go out there and sell my story and let people know what I believe in. as principle. I think it's the passion is not about the presidency. It's about the transformation of the Ghanaian. And these are strong, firm principles that I've always espoused. I mean, I have YouTube videos of me as press secretary in 2004. And sometimes when I watch them, I think, apart from that, I had a lot more hair. I'm saying this.
You had punk.
So I've been very consistent. These are the things I believe in. And it can be a bit controversial. Because somebody asked me in one of my town hall meetings with the executives, Mr. Agyepong, you're saying that you're going to cut down the ministry. We want some more ministerial positions. I said, look, ministerial positions are not jobs for the boys. We have to create the economic environment for you to become big. You don't need to be a minister to grow economically where you find yourself. That's what we are supposed to do. But I think the position of a minister should be an exalted one. There should be very few people, 19 out of the 35 or so million. So we hold it in high esteem.
Just another quick point. I noticed the Kwabena Agyepong keeps coming up, and it just occurred to me that maybe because there's another Agyepong in the race.
Yeah, people keep spelling my name wrong. This is correct.
So
A-G-Y-E as in Eric. It's not Agyepong, it's Agyepong.
How different is that from Kennedy Agyepong? Kennedy, how does Kennedy say spelling?
I think
it's Ohene Agyepong.
So it's a compound name.
Ohene, yeah.
Yes.
Some people think he may be the Agyepong that actually becomes the dark horse, because we've seen, he's shown in the polls, and he has a whole media establishment to himself. And he seems to have a message that resonates with delegates.
Well, I think that my message is resonating very strongly with the Ghanaian people and the party delegates. And I'm one who is known better in the party, and my roots are deeper in this party than most. You understand? So I'm very confident of what I'm doing. Like I said, you don't take anything for granted in elections.
All right.
We don't take anything for granted in elections, and I respect the sanctity of our electoral system, and I do believe that they would not mortgage their future, for some handouts. They would look at us, listen to us, and be able to evaluate us, and especially within the special delegates.
So in a fair contest, if you're among the top 5 in a fair contest, you think you will win?
Oh, definitely.
You think you
definitely? I think I will win.
And you're sure you get into the fight?
That's how it started. I remember when I was contesting St. John, all the polls, Bernard and everybody, they didn't even give me a prayer. I wiped him out over 1,500 votes when I was
on the hospital bed.
That's right. So this is someone who is very deep.
You're sounding like a Zuma now.
Well, that's my good friend, the professor.
you wiped him out on the hospital bed.
Yes. So I'm very confident. It's just to pray to the Almighty to give me the strength and the resources. It's tough.
Yes.
Raising the money.
People are looking for money.
Raising the money is tough. That's
Moving around the country, it's difficult. Even if you don't give anybody money, just doing a campaign is expensive.
Having the cars,
just moving to the places.
Your campaign team, however small, mine is very modest and very small, but living in hotels, having to eat, and supporting the delegates with their transport, it's only fair. If you go to Kofrodio and somebody has come from Afram Plains, I think it's only fair that you support his transport.
No, we'll invite you again, don't worry.
So
when you go around your next 5 regions, come back.
Yes, in fact, I'm going to Sefi also on Monday.
Wow.
And then from there, I'll go to also to meet Ahafo, then Bono in Sunyani, then Techiman. So next week, I'm in the Middle Belt.
Wow.
And then I'll come back and see if I can recharge. So I'm calling all those who are listening to me.
Yes.
We'll do a little fundraising. We have a Momo number that says KA for President 2024.
KA for President.
Yes.
KA. No, you announce the Momo number. It's not a problem.
Yes.
We won't charge you.
Go on.
If the guys are here, can they bring the Momo number?
Charlie, the way he has spoken today.
No, I'll ask for
Let's announce the Momo number, Charlie,
because it's tough.
And I like the fact that you see, crowdsourcing your campaign is also cleaner. Because if you go to 1 or 2 big men to give you money, then we don't know how they control you. So the Obama approach is good. The fact that you're saying, look, let's come on board. I think that's the way to go for political campaign.
Oh yeah, it's a great thing. Yes. It's the way
so
to
we all contribute 2 CD, 5 CD, 10 pesos instead of doing Charlie.
Yeah, but the only difficulty there is tax. Not even tax. It's about knowing sometimes
it can be monitored.
Externals, putting their money in there.
Oh, you mentioned it now.
Yeah.
It's 020 008 1828.
Can you repeat it?
020 008
yes
1828.
So that's the Momo number.
That's the Momo. You can donate via Zelle to those outside. When you use KAA for president, that's for president at gmail.com.
Okay.
KAA all in small caps. 4 as in 4 number. President at gmail.com. That is donate via Zelle. So those who are listening outside can also donate.
So the number is 020
008 1828.
All right. Kwabena, thank you. It's been good talking to you. Good to have you back on air.
It's a pleasure.
I'm sure we'll speak again before the date for the big one.
Definitely.
Yeah. So that was Kwabena Agyepong.
I always pray that you grow stronger and stronger.
Amen. We'll be right back with some of your messages and some tidbits. This is the Citi Breakfast Show. Don't go away.
This is the Citi Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation.
Everybody,
The Assemblies of God Ghana just about to take a turn like never before. Join us at the Grand Arena, Accra International Conference Center on the 25th of February for the induction service of the newly elected General Superintendent, our very own Reverend Dr. Stephen Yenesom Wengam, and the outdooring of the newly elected Executive Presbytery Officers, Reverend Tito J, Reverend Dr. Enes Brikran, and Reverend Dr. Simon Abubaba. There is about to be a shift, growth, and transformation as they plan to reach, rebuild, restore, reform, reposition, and rebrand the Assemblies of God Ghana. Proverbs chapter 11 verse 14. Where no counsel is, the people fall, but there is safety in the multitude of counselors. Come, let us welcome and celebrate our new Assemblies of God leaders. God bless you.
Business introduces too much business packages for businesses and SMEs. Yes, it be too much value. It be too much flexibility. It be too much everything. So on too much business. And the best part is you can now take your business up another level. Wow. Choose the voice, data, and SMS package that suits your business size and ambitions with Vodafone Too Much Business. That means more data for your business with the ability to roll over on used data. More SMS, more minutes for Vodafone to Vodafone calls and Vodafone to other networks, plus free calls amongst your employees, all in one mobile package. There is too much value you get on the best mobile plan in Ghana today. To sign up, SMS start to 050-777-9000 or email vodafonebusiness.gh@vodafone.com.
Vodafone, further together.
Hey, nowadays, germs are in the air. Aren't you concerned?
Concerned about what?
About the children, of course. In times like this, they sneeze, cough, and fall ill just like that.
This is why we need to give our children and ourselves a fighting chance with the maximum protection of Dettol soap. Dettol soap not only refreshes you, but it can be used for bathing and washing hands. So keep calm. Get Dettol soap.
Dettol protects from up to 100 illness-causing germs.
Dettol is endorsed by the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association.
This advert is FDA approved.
High sense, yet yasie. Ensu to, nansu form da so yedi. Ne senti, ya sheshe bibi sunko kra dia mamo. Ya to ne din say High Sense Super Promo. Ya niema ne buono. Ya sa hwe ni nyina bio. Impo ya fa so mpo. Eye free so. Said the bear for Sidia Diamond. You call the first come, first serve. And your man sa na sa High Sense Super Promo. And where showrooms in na. And we're Ghana for na. High Sense one about 5 years manufacturer defective warranty. Your name of border from Chendia Kenina. A Chendia Kenina. High Sense, a Chendia Kenina. Nay, a Papa Chendia Kenina. Hayo, everything 28th February, I call him 8th March. A High Sense Super Promo. High Sense, everyday prices for everyday people.
Join the conversation on the Citi Breakfast Show on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag CitiCBS.
This is the Citi Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation.
Bet across a range of markets on the biggest sports. Build your own personalized bet with Bet Builder and select from popular markets. You can make up to 12 selections within a single match. Enjoy all your favorite sporting events and access thousands of games with live streaming. Place your bets before the match kicks off or try in-play betting during the live game. Remember, Bet365 also lets you cash out your bet early on selected markets. Sounds good, right? Visit the official site at bet365.com.gh and join. Over 18s only. Please gamble responsibly. And start your undergraduate or master's program this March at Webster University and get up to 40% scholarship. Don't miss out on the opportunity to invest in your future. Open global doors when you earn a quality American master's degree in international relations, business administration, or human resources management in just about 16 months. MBA students can choose a general MBA or specialize in marketing, corporate finance, corporate communications, information technology management, cybersecurity, project management, or digital marketing. Admissions are open for our undergraduate and graduate programs. Apply now to enroll for our March 2023 intake and get up to 40% off tuition. Call 0540-120-849 and visit webster.edu.gh. And are you planning your next adventure? Remember, it's not just the destination.
I know.
It's how you get there.
It's true.
One of the best bits about holidays is the food,
It's
right?
very true.
I agree, totally. Wouldn't it be great if you could get a taste of your destination before you even arrive?
It would be very great.
It would. Well, you can do that on Emirates.
Thank
You can dine on gourmet meals inspired by regional cuisine. And what better way to toast the start of your holiday than with your choice of free-flowing drinks? And of course, you can expect world-class service along every step of your journey from Emirates' award-winning cabin crew. So wherever you decide to fly better on Emirates. You get so much more in Emirates economy. Go to emirates.com.
I'll tell you this. I flew, the first time I went to Dubai was on Emirates.
Ooh.
This is 2007.
Oh, really?
We're going for the Africa Radio Awards. I was going with some men. And for some reason, we went through Dubai to Kenya.
Ah.
And I got upgraded.
Oh. Oh.
So from the trip from Dubai to Nairobi, I was in business class. My Lord and my God.
There are levels.
I didn't want the plane to land. When he said, we are here to... I said, no, please don't come down. Stay up. Hey!
No, if you did that plane inside.
I think...
No.
I think the ticket they gave me, I don't know what kind of ticket it was. So we got to the station and the woman said, oh, by the way, you've been upgraded. Because I think they said there was some space. So I changed the line. And
wait, did they upgrade Simmons as well?
So he was, it's funny, he was upgraded on the return trip.
Oh, interesting.
So there was one part of the trip I was in business and he was in
economy. The other...
And I said bye-bye. I went to collect award. So
nice.
So my boss was in economy, I was in business.
So you see, all of these things, majority of the times, is knowing your customer.
Yes.
So they have a way of determining who is this person. Okay, so if they are
woman, what's your name? Okay, please upgrade to business class.
So you normally they will log into the system and put a note on it.
No, Sky, actually. So I took out a book and I stretched my leg.
Oh, Emirates business.
And they said, what will you have?
Oh my word.
Yeah, Lord.
It's nice.
Oh, I'll never forget.
It's like a palace.
Oh God. And this is 2007. So you can imagine what they are doing today.
They gave you a taste, knowing that when you experience that,
I think they felt that. I think they could see my future.
You want to patronize the business class service.
But the money hasn't come. It will come because they were prophetic.
You see, but they know that if and when you have the money, you will fly their business.
So this guy looks. They said this guy looks like someone.
The advert worked. Yes. Yeah.
But this says I've not yet made the money.
No, it's on his way.
Come.
Anyways, I'll come back,
Yeah.
Or you can also give me a trip to Dubai again. Just to go and think about myself. Think about myself. In my space. Legal people. I'm not soliciting. I'm just suggesting. Okay, I think I have to move away from this because it's the guys giving the legal decision that I'm doing.
Just douse the fire.
Yeah.
But you deserve it, I think so.
Interview though. But you know, I think politics is very interesting, yeah? It's not... There's a lot of things that goes into who wins.
Yeah.
And the person with the best ideas may not necessarily win.
Look, Kwabena is the quintessential communicator.
He's very good.
Political communicator.
He knows what
when you're listening to him, look, he would even sell a whole ocean to you, even if you are the
No, you are saying that in the wrong sense.
No.
He knows how to articulate his ideas very well.
Actually, is saying it in a positive sense because I mean, a great marketer is one who can scale all the expectations, all the barriers that are erected against a particular product and still sell it.
And for an engineer who has moved into like engineer by media,
that's what.
So he brings both sides
exactly. I mean, at his height as the spokesperson for the president, look, he distinguished the position. It's not what we see these days. Director of communication for the president. Kwabena defined the space, and so if it comes down to a fair contest as to who wins, I think ideally, Charlie.
But we don't know. We'll see. I think that the fact that there's time for people to campaign is good, and this has also started there. We will see what happens. I feel our job is to ask the questions to make sure, and I hope we did ask him the right questions.
Well, at the level that he's at right now,
the economy is not well. The government hasn't governed well. That's just a fact. The government has failed in a lot of the things he promised us. They have to admit that. And his point about needing a new face to represent the MPP may resonate with most non-MPP people. I don't know if the delegates will buy that because I'm sure some of them are still saying we'll die in our socks. I mean, I heard Richard Ahinyaba yesterday on Eyewitness News saying that by the record they have done better, like all kinds of things. So it's tough, but
it's just going to be an interesting next few months.
That's why there's also this fight in the party about when they should call elections. Although the constitution is clear, if you are in power, you shouldn't do more than a year to the elections to elect a flag bearer. Some people want that amended and changed.
Anyway,
but the president is resisting it.
We'll see. More space for that. Time for City News at 10. Thank you, guys. Newspaper review and all the other things that we had done. Richard Sky, Kokui Hansen, Godfred Akotobuafo. Caleb Kuda is joining us with City News at 10. Then AJ comes in with brunch